A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This, I believe. Fannie Hurst is a writer, a woman with immense vitality, which can be seen in her novels, in her work at the United Nations, and on her television program. Her books include Lummox and Backstreet. Here is Miss Hurst.
When I was engaged to be married, my parents were shocked one day to hear that a friend of my family had made this remark: "She simply isn't good enough for him." And I hadn't been married to my husband for a month when I knew what she meant, and she was right. For what is almost certain to be the larger half of my lifetime, it was my blessed privilege to live in close propinquity to a really good man, good in the sainted sense of the word, noble, pure, selfless. He's gone now, but his life has taught me how the good that men do can live after them. When he died, this he left me, his light to live by, and his good shines before me, shaming me when I falter, encouraging me when the lonely going is rough, a light indeed to live by. And what a heritage to pass on, a man who by his own high living inspires idealism in others. Have you ever seen an acrobat lace his hands together in front of his waist for another member of his troop to use as a springboard to leap off and ahead? Because such a man as my husband lived, I in turn am inspired to try and move forward toward the ideal of attempting to do for others something of what he did for me. Now, the greatest life that was ever lived is, of course, the supreme example of what I'm trying to say. That torch has lighted the world over thousands of years, and compared to it, ours are mere tapers. But you do remember, don't you, the speaker in the Hollywood Bowl, who one summer evening asked one lone person in an audience of 30,000 to light a match. Its feeble glow shone out. Then he requested the entire audience to do the same thing, and lo, there was light everywhere. Every taper is indeed its own contribution. Likewise, I believe that life is most fully realized which inspires others to do better living. Now, this, I believe, is a phrase to strike self-consciousness and a certain consternation into the secret places of any heart, because there reside the frail porcelains of our innermost thoughts, and we must make our way between them with the sinuosity of a cat, or they fall and splinter into bits of inarticulate words. What I believe is deeply embedded in those innermost places of my silence. Yet the words I would use are such simple ones, the last words in the world, you would think, to bring about such complicated psychology as inhibitions and inarticulateness. They are the illuminated words of any language: love, faith, hope, tolerance, compassion. Without the cementing power of these beautiful words, the world would be falling apart instead of struggling to get together. I believe the deeds corresponding to these great words put an immense responsibility on those who live by some or all of them. They must pass on the torch of right living as the Greek runner passes his on. First and foremost, I believe there is God to live by, the greatest light that ever shed radiance. Then there are men and women to live by. I try to live by the precepts of my husband's wonderful goodness and stainless life, to emulate in my faltering way the high ideals he has left me to struggle toward.
That was Fannie Hurst. Her husband was the late Jacques Danielson, a pianist and composer. Their marriage attracted a great deal of attention because, faithful to their own unique patterns of living, they had separate apartments in New York and carried on their separate work.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
You know, Ethelbert, you and I have a good chance to be famous.
How's that, Casey?
Well, I figure if a man's known by the company he keeps,
Yeah?
then he ought to be known by the company that keeps him.
That makes sense.
And the company that keeps us is...
Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Photo of the Dead. 9 o'clock in the evening, the big, untidy photographer's room of the Morning Express. The door opens, and Ann Williams.
Gosh, it's hot, Casey. Let's go over to the Blue Note.
Oh, Annie, I'd like to get out of this joint for a while, but Dad Phelan phoned about half an hour ago and said he wanted to see me. He's making a special trip down here.
Dad Phelan?
Sure, you met him. He runs a little stationery and cigar store
Yes,
uptown.
of course. He lost his wife last year, and
That's
we went
right.
to her funeral.
Yeah, Aunt Maggie, her name was.
Well, what does he want to see you about?
Well, he said he wanted my advice about something. What? He didn't say. Well, there he is now. Hi, Dad.
Oh, Casey, my boy.
Hey, it's good to see you.
It's always good to see you.
You remember Annie Williams, don't
Oh,
you?
of course. How are you, Miss Williams?
Just fine, Mr. Phelan.
Now, sit down, Dad.
Thanks. I've got something to tell you, boy.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Casey, I've heard from Maggie.
Huh?
She's come back to me from the dead.
Oh, Mr. Phelan.
I've heard her voice, and she sent me her picture from the other world.
Her picture?
Boy, you know that after Maggie died, well, we'd been together for nearly 50 years, and I didn't know what to do with myself.
I know.
So I started to read books that told how the dead sometimes are able to communicate with the living.
Books on psychic phenomena?
Yes, Miss Williams. There's a bookshop on 12th Street, Jameson's, that has a lot of those books.
Yeah, I've passed it.
Yeah, very nice lady runs it. I went in there a lot. We got acquainted, and one day she told me about a man. Man with remarkable powers.
So you went to him.
Yeah. And last Thursday night, a week ago, boy, Maggie spoke to me while I was there.
What did this man charge you?
He wouldn't take a penny.
Huh?
Here, Casey. Look at this picture. You see what had happened? Above my right shoulder.
Oh, there's a ghostly face of a woman, Casey.
Yeah.
And it's Maggie's face. You recognize it, boy.
Yes.
Casey, this picture couldn't have been made by a trick, could it? Maggie was really with me last night, wasn't she?
Yes, sure she was with you, Dad.
The photo's not a fake? You know.
No, it's not a fake.
So glad to hear you say that.
Casey.
Now, hold it, Annie. Say, Dad, what's the name of this man who took this shot?
Well, it's kind of a funny name. Feda Narsi. He's an East Indian fella.
He's one of those swamis, huh?
He's a fine man.
Oh, I'm sure of that. Where does he live?
Well, he has a big house on Rankin Avenue, 142. Why?
I just wondered. Oh, excuse me, Dad.
Yeah.
Hello, Casey speaking. Yeah. Okay, Burke, I'll be right up. That was City Desk calling, Dad. I'm sorry, I've got to rush upstairs.
Go right ahead, boy. I'll be going. Anyway, you've told me what I wanted to know, and you've made me very happy.
Well, I'm very glad.
Good night, Miss Williams.
Good night, Mr. Phelan.
Good night to you, boy. And a million thanks.
Good night, Dad.
Casey, that photograph can't be on the level.
Of course it isn't. It's a crude double exposure. That ghost face was taken from an old picture of Aunt Maggie that this Feda Narsi fella got hold of somewhere.
Well, why didn't you tell the old man that?
Oh, Annie, how could I? Dad wants to believe that this thing's on the level. He's happy tonight for the first time since his wife died. But, Annie, after I finish whatever assignment Burke has for me upstairs, I'm going to pay an unsocial call on Swami Feda Narsi. Oh, hey, Burke, what do you mean? You're sending me out of town tonight?
That's what I said, Casey. I just had our Detroit correspondent on the phone. He tells me a honey of a murder broke out there. You may be gone 2 weeks, maybe a month.
And I'm not going?
Casey's on this job alone, Williams. You stay here. Now take this to the cashier and get your expense money, Casey. Your train leaves in 45 minutes.
Burke, I ought to see a guy tonight. Here.
You can't. Get going, Casey. I want pictures from Detroit tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Dad Phelan's been looking after himself for over 70 years. I guess he can do it without my help a few weeks longer.
Hello.
Miss Williams?
Yes.
This is long distance. I have your call through to
Oh,
Detroit.
thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello, Casey.
Annie, gee, it's great to hear your voice. Anyway, what's up?
Look, something's happened that we think you ought to know about.
What?
I'm at police headquarters with Captain Logan. A few hours ago, your friend, Dad Phelan, was found dead.
Dad Phelan?
Yes, Casey. And Captain Logan thinks that Swami Feda Nazi was responsible for his death.
Well, come on, Logan. Let's have the dope on it.
Al Phelan didn't open his store this morning, Casey. A cop on the beat got worried, broke in, and found your friend dead in the back room.
He just died in his sleep, huh?
Yeah. I talked to Miss Williams after she phoned you, Casey, and we pieced the thing together. Beside the old man's body was that spirit photograph of him and his wife. And in his pocket, we found a bank book that had apparently represented his life savings. The balance was only $21. But until 4 days after Miss Williams says he called on you with the express, the balance had been $6,021.
The fake Swami got the $6,000.
Yeah. The shock of losing his life savings and learning that the Swami was a fake was too much for him.
The Swami gave him the usual routine.
Yeah, racketeers of his type are all alike. After the victim is convinced he's in contact with the dead, he gets a spook message telling him to hand over some money, usually for an investment the ghost recommends. The dough was passed over in cash, and we cops can't do a thing.
Logan, that Swami killed that old man just as surely as though he'd stuck a gun in his head and pulled the trigger.
I know it, but he's not a murderer in the eyes of the law. We can't even prove him a thief.
You question him?
Naturally. He denied everything.
Well, Logan, I'll talk to Swami Feda Nazi.
It won't get you anywhere.
Well, I'll see you later.
Now, what are you going to do?
Well, from what you say, there's only one thing I can do. Beat that guy to a pulp.
Good afternoon.
Are you Feda Nazi?
No, sir.
Oh, just a servant, eh?
Yes,
Well, I want to see your boss.
What is your name?
Casey.
You have appointment with the master?
No.
Feda Narsi receive no visitor except by appointment.
Well, they received me, big guy. Get out of my way.
Wait. Nobody pass Luki.
Luki,
Yes, master.
I will see the gentleman for a moment. What is it you wish, Mr. Casey?
So, you...
I am Feda Nasi. What do you wish?
Hasn't your crystal ball told you?
As the police have made some baseless insinuations that cannot be proven, I imagine you are about to do something equally foolish.
Yeah. I'm going to knock that grin off your face and your teeth along with it.
Yes, sir.
Take your hands off of me. Let me go, will you?
Luki, my devoted servant, is a Senegalese.
That-
They are noted for their skill in fighting. Luki, teach Mr. Casey that it will be very unwise for him to trouble us again.
It will be a pleasure, sir.
Splendid, Luki. Now pick Mr. Casey up from where he's fallen and throw him out the door.
Our story will continue in just a moment. Here's a bargain, a real bargain. A big 9.5-inch pie plate made of beautiful Fire King oven glass, guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Its highly polished surface is as smooth as a mirror, comes clean almost instantly. It's as attractive on your table as it is sturdy and practical in your kitchen. And here's the most important point of all. This new kind of Fire King pie plate practically assures results every time. Its pale blue glass absorbs oven heat so evenly that your pies bake all the way through. The crust is light and flaky with no danger of scorching. Now, to get this new pie plate, it's not necessary to sit down and write a letter. Simply go to your favorite 5 and 10 cent store or any other store selling household glass and ask for the special Fire King oven glass pie plate being offered over the air at 25 cents, or slightly more in distant cities. Remember the name, Fire King oven glass. This new Fire King oven glass pie plate is a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
You're certainly a pretty picture, Casey. 2 black eyes, a lump on your jaw.
You don't have to give me a bruise-by-bruise description of how I look, Ethelbert. I know how I
Ethelbert,
look.
that big Senegalese prize fighter might have killed him.
Oh.
I know how you feel, pal, but you've gone at this thing all wrong. Rough stuff will get you nowhere.
That's great. You got any suggestions?
No. Captain Logan says there's nothing he can do, huh?
What can the cops do unless they can prove that Nazi got Mr. Phelan's money and got it under false pretense?
Must be some way to get evidence.
Why doesn't Logan detail one of his dicks to pose as a sucker and pass this Nazi a couple of marked bills?
Well, that's been tried several times, but Nazi's too wise. Casey, I might be able to get the goods on Fata Nazi.
But you?
Yeah. No one would ever take me for a cop. I could go to Nazi and tell him I'd lost a sister, for instance, and I'd let him believe that I had some money, and he'd work his racket on me, and then I'd pass him marked bills, and we'd have him.
Sure, it'd be a cinch, Casey.
Oh, yeah. It'd be a complete bust,
Oh,
that's
now
what it'd
why?
be. You think anybody gets into Narzi's joint unless he knows who they are and all about them, Annie? You see, it's part of his racket to have the lowdown on people who come to him.
Oh, you mean he'd look me up and find out I'm Ann Williams, who works for the Morning Express?
Yeah, he sure would. Say, wait a minute. I've got an idea.
What?
Burke was telling me some of his recent family history a few days before I went to Detroit. He can give us the gimmick we need behind this thing.
Burke?
Your city editor?
Yeah. Boy, and will he do it when he sees it as the build-up for an exclusive feature story. Annie, come on. We're talking to Burke right now.
You're right, Casey. It's a natural. Williams, you'll check into an uptown hotel here tomorrow night as Marilyn Phillips of Portland, Oregon.
Which is the real name and home address of your wife's first cousin, right?
Yes, as Casey remembered my telling him, Marilyn lost her mother several months ago.
Where's Miss Phillips now, though, Bert?
Traveling in Mexico, so that'll be all right. She's about your size and coloring, Williams. I'll have my wife tell you enough about Marilyn Phillips tonight so that you can borrow her identity without any chance of a slip-up. When this Fata Nazi checks her, he'll think you're the real McCoy.
Well, how will I get to Nazi? I can't just walk up to his front
You
door.
get to him the same way Dad Phelan did. You go to Jameson's occult bookshop and become a steady customer. The old dame who runs the place is probably a shill for Nazi.
Oh, I get it. I pose as a grief-stricken daughter with money, and let her and him do the rest.
That's the play. After you check into the hotel as Marilyn Phillips, you're not to come near this office, near your apartment, or with anyone you know, till this job's finished.
Wait a minute now, Burke. You mean...
I mean especially that she can't go anywhere near you, Casey. That'd give the whole show away.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I'll see that you receive plenty of expense money, Williams. You'll report to me by phone. That's all.
She can talk to me by phone, too.
Well, what does she want to talk to you for?
Yes. Why should I?
Well, thought I might be able to help or something.
Burke will attend to everything.
Sure, Casey. I'll attend to everything.
Oh, that's just swell.
City desk, Burke speaking.
It's me, Burke. I'm getting acquainted with Mrs. Jameson, but she hasn't suggested I see our man yet.
You've only been on the job 10 days. This will take time. Stick with it.
Casey, what on earth has happened to Miss Williams? It's almost 3 weeks since I seen her in here. And
Miss Williams is away, Ethelbert. And who cares?
Hey, you don't have to bite my head off.
You've been coming in here for over a month now, Miss Phillips. I feel that I know you well enough to offer a suggestion that may soften your great sorrow.
Well, the only thing that can help me, Mrs. Jameson, is if I could see my mother again, or...
Well, perhaps you can. I know a remarkable man, Miss Phillips. A man of almost miraculous powers. His name is Theda Narcy.
Sit down, Miss Phillips.
Oh, thank you.
I see things in the crystal ball. I see a lady there whom you loved very dearly.
My mother?
Yes. Her name was Alice.
The woman who sent me here must have told you that.
Be not hasty in your judgment, Miss Phillips. You were born October 4th, 1922. Your home was 47 Vista Road, Portland, Oregon. Your middle name is Celestine. Your mother's maiden name was McClintock. She's very close to you now, Miss Phillips. Very close.
Can you make me see her, Swami? Or hear her voice?
Later, perhaps. Come to me on Thursday next. In the meantime, I will pray that the one you love beyond the veil will speak to you and give you comfort. Go now. I'm very weary.
Yes, Swami. How much do I owe you?
Owe me? Oh, my dear child, I make no charge for my services, ever. My mission in life is to serve mankind.
Oh, he merely gave you the old build-up today.
Yes, Burke. Of course, someone in Portland sent him the information about Marilyn Phillips and her mother.
Yeah, Budge and his racket have contacts all over. Call me again after you see him Thursday. Goodbye.
Wait a minute, Burke.
Huh?
How's Casey?
In very bad humor. Goodbye.
Sit very still, Miss Phillips. The psychic force is strong in me tonight. I feel the spirit presence of one who has passed beyond.
You, think, Swami, that my mother...
I cannot tell. I am sinking into trance. Hold my hands tightly. Look closely at the crystal, and soon you may hear the voice of the dead.
It's so dark in here.
Trance. I'm sinking into...
Swami, what... That knocking. Something's knocking on the table, Swami, and it isn't you. Oh, that music. Where's it coming from? I'm afraid, Swami. I'm afraid.
Have no fear, my daughter.
That voice.
It is your mother's, darling.
Mother?
I'm with you, Marilyn, here. This good man has helped me make the journey from the land beyond to bring you comfort.
I can't see you, Mother.
I have more to tell you, my dear. Now the force is growing weak. Trust this good man. Trust Theda Narcy, and I will come to you again through him. Come again, and I will have more to tell you.
Oh.
Swami Narcy. Swami Narcy.
Was it a success, Miss Phillips?
Oh, you don't know what happened?
I was in trance. I never know.
My mother talked to me. She said that she had more to tell me.
We shall assist her then. Come to me next Wednesday. Hold my hands tightly, Miss Phillips.
Yes, Swami.
I am sinking into trance. Sinking into...
Those knocks. And that music again. Mother?
Yes, my darling.
Come closer and let me really see you.
That is beyond my power, dear. I have but little time. I'm so worried about you, my child.
Worried about me?
I left you so little money when I passed behind the veil. You must have more, much more, and you shall have it. I will point the way. Tomorrow, take your money from the bank.
Take my money from the bank?
Give it to this good man, Phelan Narcy. He will invest it for you. Invest it so it will be doubled, tripled in amount. When that is done, your mother will be happy.
You will tell Phelan Narcy how to invest my money, Mother?
I shall guide his every action. And I know all things, dear. Through him, I will make you rich. Promise, darling.
Yes, Mother, yes. I'll bring Swami Narcy the money tomorrow.
You made me very happy. I must leave you now, darling. I must go.
Oh, then the ghost voice faded out, huh?
Yes, Bert. And when Narcy snapped out of his trance, I told him I'd bring him $10,000 that Mother left me at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I'll send you the money by messenger. Call me when you get it, and we'll check on the final plan.
Okay, Bert.
Goodbye. Well, Casey, tomorrow night will be the payout.
Yeah?
Cops will be posted around the house before Williams goes in. When she comes out, the cops will take it as a signal, close in, get the Swami with those marked bills in his possession, and that's that.
There's also going to be a witness when that money is passed.
Who?
Me.
Why, you're the last guy in the world who could get into that house.
I've been casing that joint, Burke. There's a big window in Narcy's chamber with a strong trellis leading up to it. The window is painted black inside, but if Anne can get it open just a few inches...
You can see and hear what's going on.
And I can take a picture of Anne giving that rat the dough. I'll use an infrared bulb that shows no glare.
It'll make a swell shot for the paper.
And for evidence in court. Will you tell Anne to get that window open?
I certainly will. Leave it to Williams. She'll get it open somehow.
I've brought the money, Swami.
Oh, yes, the money.
You'll return it to me, and much more besides, as Mother said.
Miss Phillips, through spirit guidance, I have made many fortunes for other people. I am not interested in money myself.
Oh, there's $10,000 here. All I have.
Well, I will accept and invest it as a sacred trust.
Here.
Thank you. What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
We'll see. This window. So, Mr. Casey.
Hello, Narcy.
Step off that trellis and into this room with your camera. As you see, I have a gun.
Yes, I see.
Now close the window.
Okay.
I am always alert for frame-ups.
Yes, the guy in your racket has to be.
You will give me the film you just exposed?
What good will it do you? I saw you take the dough.
Your testimony and that of Miss Phillips will be utterly valueless if the money cannot be found in my possession. It's quite obvious that I have been given marked bills, but they're easily destroyed.
Casey, if he destroys the papers $10,000, I'll have to pay it back. I'll be in debt the rest of my life.
He won't destroy it.
Don't move, Mr. Casey. I shoot. Now take the film from your camera and toss it into the copper bowl on this table.
Okay.
I place your marked money in the bowl with it. Now strike a match, Mr. Casey, and burn them.
That gun makes you the boss.
Oh, Casey, when we tell Burke you burned the papers and
It
money...
is very probable that you will not be believed. There will be a large suspicion that you kept it for yourself.
That doesn't bother me so much as the idea that you might beat this rat, Narcy.
I shall beat it. Now strike a match and burn that evidence.
Okay. Money and the film in this bowl beside your crystal ball. Right at you, Narcy.
Knock the gun out of his hand.
Get it, Annie, quick.
Looky.
A big prize fighter.
Come here, Looky, help.
That's the guy I want to see again.
Take this gun. You'll need it.
No, I won't.
Looky.
I'm here, Master. You weren't expecting that crystal ball in your face, were you? Now, that'll hold you. Now, Swami Nazi, would you like to gaze into your crystal ball? Or can you guess what's going to happen?
Don't hit me. Don't hit me.
This is for Dad Phelan. Things for Annie. This one's for me. And now, Annie, you can bring in the cops.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. No wonder the new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle is sweeping America. Think of all the extras it brings you at no extra cost. Extra number 1.
It requires no deposit, no bother with pennies.
Extra number 2.
You don't have to return it. No trouble with empties.
Extra number 3.
It's light as a feather, easy to carry, unnatural for picnics.
Extra number 4.
It's sturdy and compact. Save space in the icebox.
Extra number 5.
It's easy to open, safe to drink from.
Extra number 6.
It's at home on any table.
Extra number 7.
And, brother, what flavor, that true brewery flavor that only glass can bring you.
Yes, here's the bottle that makes beer and ale easy to enjoy. The Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. For flavor that's brewery bright, demand beer in bottles. For safety and convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Cops got the whole gang of them, huh, Casey?
Yes, Ethelbert.
Including Mrs. Jameson, the dame who also impersonated Narzi's spook.
That's swell, Miss Williams. And it's swell to see you around here again. I've missed you since you've been away on that case.
Oh, thanks, Ethelbert.
Yeah, that's right. We've all... say, Annie, it's kind of a nice night. How about you and me taking a walk?
Why?
Well, just because it's kind of a nice night.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long, so long. As my sister Edna says, quote, absence makes the brain grow dumber. And a walk on a nice night may be dangerous business for an unmarried bachelor. Unquote.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass. Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town. So stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Mrs. George Hamlin Shaw has devoted most of her time for the past 20 years to work on behalf of moving people. At present, she is serving her second term as president of the National Travelers' Aid Association. During World War II, she set up and supervised servicemen's lounges in New York, which welcomed approximately 11 million members of the armed forces. Here is Florence Shaw's creed.
Every time I attend a session of the United Nations, I'm fascinated by a most ingenious gadget. It's a machine that enables me to hear in any one of several languages exactly what is being said by any delegate speaking a foreign tongue. It's a unique sensation. I push a little button and I can hear the same words being spoken in English, Spanish, French, Chinese, or Russian. This machine always brings me a flash of the feelings experienced when one encounters the unfamiliar. My awe at its mechanical perfection is tinged with the slightest shade of fear. The languages sound strange, slightly mysterious, ominous. It's an uncomfortable feeling, one we all get when the unfamiliar enters our lives. This fear of the unknown, whether person or thing, is an instinct I have fought all of my life. Magnified into mass proportions, it becomes a powerfully menacing force, dominating a world which believes that a strange face means only trouble, that national, racial, or lingual differences mark a man who is to be feared, to be guarded against at all costs. It was not so long ago that people thought the quickest way to solve a murder was to lynch the nearest stranger. I base my whole philosophy of human relationships upon this single belief, that it is wrong to prejudge the unfamiliar, to classify it and reject it out of hand. It seems to me that I hold a minority opinion, for the world seems bent on reinforcing the international barriers separating man from his brother. The stranger is never wanted. I am not only talking about the laws and attitudes which separate nations. The same barriers make Yankees suspect down south and Easterners regarded as slickers in the West. I remember vividly what a young Kentucky Marine said to me a dozen years ago at the Troops in Transit Lounge in Pennsylvania Station, which was under my direction during the war. "Lady," he said, "please give me a postcard to prove I've been here. My folks back home will never take my word for it that you Northerners practice Southern hospitality." I leave it to the psychiatrist to figure out why the fear of the unknown is so universal an instinct. For myself, I am convinced that this is one instinct which will yield in the face of even a small amount of thought. Thomas Wolfe once asked, "Which of us is not forever a stranger and alone?" And I think Bernie Baruch had the answer when he said not long ago, "We didn't all come over on the same ship, but we're all in the same boat." Long ago I learned how much happier my voyage could be once I stopped being wary of my fellow passengers and began taking them at face value instead. My faith in the unknown, in the stranger within our midst, is like that of the small girl in the orphanage who was caught burying a note she'd scribbled to the outside world. Here is what it said: "Whoever you are, I love you. You need me, and I need you." It is this kind of unquestioning trust that will eventually bring us a better and happier world.
There are the beliefs of Mrs. George Hamlin Shaw of New York City. She is president of the National Travelers' Aid Association.
Crime does not pay.
The third time. All he gets is a scratch.
Well, I couldn't help it. It's tough shooting in a bad light.
Goofy, stop with them peanuts. Lay off, will you?
Can I help it if I like peanuts? What you gonna do, Ron? Try for him again?
After
what?
After we move in on the vegetable markets.
Are you sick or something? Always the markets. Nelson's got those sewed up.
And I'm taking over.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear They Gotta Have What to Eat, starring Horace McMahon. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Horace McMahon as Ron Reynolds in They Gotta Have What to Eat. Every city of any size has its produce markets. There, the small hours of the morning are made bright as day by the naked light bulbs casting their glare over the mounds of vegetables, the piled-up baskets of many-colored fruit. Trucks grind their gears, backing and filing into position so that the rich produce of the nearby truck farms can spill over the tailboards onto the crowded sidewalks. Men in white coats, pencils in their hatbands, rush through the disorder, their voices clamoring against the roar of the truck engines. Other men find their ways amid the baskets and the bright pyramids of eatables to make their choices, order the beans, the carrots, the grapefruit, the apples, all the things they'll offer you at the neighborhood stores after the sun comes up. And some men, like Ron Reynolds and Goofy Mason, lurk in the shadows just beyond the bustle and rush, waiting.
There's Nelson over there, right under the sign says Lanzio.
I see him.
Goofy, get out the peanuts. You make me nervous.
Oh, Ronnie, peanuts never hurt nobody.
It's too noisy. Why'd you eat the salty kind?
Because I like to crack the shells. That's all.
Quick, back in the alley. They're coming.
Yeah. Dum-Dum with him?
Does Johnny Nelson go any place without Dum-Dum? Is he crazy? You ready?
Safety's off the old piece, if that's what you mean.
Okay. Now, like I told you, we only got one chance. As they go by the entrance to the alley, and don't miss.
You betcha.
Back. Here they are. Johnny Nelson's last collection in the vegetable racket was made tonight. Shoot, Goofy. Shoot.
I got him.
Nelson, you got him.
Scram, Goofy, scram. One more run. Just one. Oh, I missed him. Nuts.
No, Goofy, this way. The car's over here.
Yeah. I almost forgot.
Forget everything if I didn't play nursemaid. Everything except peanuts.
I got Nelson for you, didn't I? What's the beef?
Sure. Okay. You got Nelson and Miss Dum-Dum.
Don't worry. We'll take care of him. Without his boss, easy. He got no brains, none at all.
Check. Well, any way you look at it, tomorrow night, Ron Reynolds takes over the vegetable racket in this town. Goofy, come in here.
You call me, boss?
Yeah, I called you. See the paper, halfwit?
Huh? Why, our name's there?
Police are investigating, but admit they have few leads. That's the end of the story.
So? What do you saw about?
The beginning. Here. Market shooting brings racket war in open. In the early hours of this morning, John Nelson, well-known operator, get that, operator, was shot near the downtown produce market. Nelson, who received only a flesh wound in his shoulder...
I don't believe it.
While admitting this is the third attack upon him in recent weeks, told reporters he had no idea who fired on him from an alley near the market.
It's a trick. It's a trick. The cops are pulling the trick. I killed him dead.
Flesh wound in the shoulder. You missed. Again.
Yeah. Look, Ron, maybe next time. Maybe next time I ought to use a rifle, huh?
The third time. The third time. And all he gets is a scratch.
I couldn't help it. It's tough shooting in a bad light.
Goofy, will you stop with them peanuts? Will you lay off?
Well, can I help if I like peanuts? Well, what you going to do, Ron? Try for him again?
After.
After what?
After we move in on the vegetable markets.
Are you sick or something? Always the markets. Nelson's got those sewed up.
And I'm taking over.
But there's other rackets.
But not so steady. Can't I get it through your thick skull? The markets are always there. Always. And a few pennies up on the cost, the suckers what buy don't mind. They can't mind. They can't quit buying. On account of they gotta have what to eat.
Yes, sir, gentlemen, what I can do for you?
You, Lanzio?
Yes, sir, Lanzio Company. Finest, freshest fruit and vegetables in the whole of market.
Okay. My card.
Huh?
And this is my assistant, Mr. Mason.
Hiya, Lanzio.
Oh. Is that all?
Race Protective Association Satisfaction Guaranteed. Ron Reynolds, General Manager.
We're ready, Lanzio, to protect you against everything and everyone. Get me?
I already belong.
Not to me, not yet, you don't.
I belong where Mr. Nelson I belong.
Maybe you better join with me, too.
Yeah, maybe you better.
Already it costs too much.
No more than trouble will cost. What do you care? You'll just jack the price a couple of cents. The retailers will jack theirs a couple of cents. Won't cost you nothing. Only the consumers.
Look, young man, I told you once, I belong to Mr. Nelson. I pay him. I'm not joined with nobody else. Now go, out, quick.
Ron, you want I should maybe...
Not now, Goofy. Maybe later. For now, we'll just drop across the street to see Mr. Ellis. Good day, Mr. Lanzio.
No good, hoodlums. Some day honest people to fix you good.
Hey, what's the idea, boss? Why don't you let me give him a sample of what
We're
he
not
gets?
ready for that yet. First, we grab off a couple of his competitors. See? Then, when things begin to happen to Lanzio and his competitors are left alone, he'll come around. It's easy. Like that. Nice place this Ellis has.
Yeah, well, where is he? I don't see nobody.
Back there. At the phone.
Yes, gentlemen.
You, Ellis?
I am. Don't bother with the card routine. Now, Reynolds, I know.
That's so. You get around.
Just by telephone. My friend Vincent Lanzio across the street.
Oh, you're a wise guy.
Hold it, Goofy. What Lanzio tell you, Ellis?
About you. And I'm telling you I work with Nelson, see? So you're wasting your time.
Think so, do you?
I know so. Now, look, son, Nelson has this market in his back pocket. Why don't you peddle your protection someplace else?
I like it here. The fruit smells so fresh.
Just a country boy at heart.
I'd hate to see it go bad on you.
Don't worry about that. Johnny Nelson will keep it fresh for me. That's what I pay him for. And take a tip, son. Scram. Lanzio's called Nelson and told him about you already.
Hey, what's the big idea, you guys? Get out of the road. I gotta get this load to the market before it spoils.
That's what you think, fella.
Hey, don't shoot. I won't do nothing.
You're so right about that. Okay, Goofy. Start dumping the load.
What's the big idea?
You said that before. Goofy, get going.
Okay, boss, okay. Oh, brother. Oh, that beautiful spinach. Wait till Ellis and Lanzio hear about this.
Now you're catching on. You tell them, see? Tell them Ron Reynolds dumped your load. Maybe they'll get smart after all. This is it. It says Lanzio and Company on the door. Get the cap off the gas tank, Goofy. Check. Such a pretty truck. All red and yellow. Like squash and tomatoes. Shame to spoil it.
Huh? I don't get it. You going soft or something?
Me? Soft? Here goes. Straight from the beach. Finest sand available. Free for the taking and just perfect in the gas line of a truck. Oh, what that'll do to the fuel pump. Goofy, dump in a few of your peanut shells, just for good measure. All right, Lanzio? Had enough?
No good, you hoodlum.
Listen to the man, Goofy. Listen to him. His trucks get dumped. His engines get ruined with sand and the gasoline, and all he could do was call his names. Okay? What do you expect to do about it?
Mr. Lanzio doesn't have to do anything. He pays me for protection, Reynolds. Holy jumping cats, Nelson.
Surprised? Well, why should you be? Mr. Mason, meet your opposite number, Mr. Dum-Dum Brock. He'd just love to put one of his soft-nosed lead slugs in your belly. Wouldn't you, Dum-Dum?
And how, Chief? And how?
Who are you? Hold it, Goofy.
Well, you're very quiet all of a sudden, Reynolds.
When I got something to say, I'll talk.
Okay. What do you got to say to this? Get out of this area. This is my territory. Go find yourself some penny-ante racket. Food is mine in this town. You get it?
Yours, Nelson? Maybe up to now it's been yours. Take the gun, Goofy.
Check.
No, naughty Mark. Naughty Mark.
Turn your life, Nelson. Let him have it, Goofy.
Stay away from here, Reynolds. Next time we'll shoot first and talk afterwards.
I think I nicked Dum-Dum.
Not Nelson. Not Johnny Nelson. The louse has a charm life. But there's gotta be a way to get that guy. There's gotta. Just let me get him alone sometime.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with They Gotta Have What to Eat. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Horace McMahon as Ron Reynolds in They Gotta Have What to Eat. Ron and Goofy bided their time and nursed their hurt dignity. A would-be racketeer cannot run from an opponent before witnesses and save face. So Ron and Goofy waited for the break that would give them Johnny Nelson alone. With Nelson out of the way, the food rackets could be Ron's. Several weeks passed. Everything seemed quiet. Nelson continued to collect his protection fees which were paid for in the end by the people who bought the food Nelson had taxed at the wholesale source. And then Ron recognized the opportunity when it came.
Here it is, Goofy. There it is.
Here's what? Our chance at Nelson?
What's that? Look here, in that paper.
Look at the doll. How does floppy-ears Nelson rate a babe like that?
He's got the dough, Goofy. If you had his kind of dough, you could get him, too.
I can get him right now.
Like this one?
Well, maybe not exactly like that one, but, let's see what it says here. Caught by our photog at the Club Arnold last night. Well-to-do produce operator John Nelson with Miss Jill Avery, whom he has been escorting recently. Get that? Whom he has been escorting recently. So what? Does it do us any good?
Could be.
How?
That picture's important, Goofy, for a lot of reasons.
For instance?
One, how many times have you seen Nelson's mug in the papers?
Oh, I don't know. Once or twice, maybe?
Usually with his hat over his puss. Okay? Here he is, big as life, grinning at the camera. So, okay. Johnny Nelson is getting careless. Things are easy, he thinks. Maybe too easy.
Go on.
Dum-Dum in that picture?
Nah. He wouldn't take Dum-Dum to a classy joint like that.
Right. Which might give us an opening, too. And finally, the dame. She's not looking at Nelson, but she's mighty interested in something or somebody on the other side of the room. See her eyes?
Yeah, so what?
Jill Avery has a roving eye, Goofy. I think the first step is getting it to rove in my direction. Pardon me, but you're Jill Avery, aren't you?
And what if I am?
I'm Ron Reynolds, Miss Avery. I've been hoping to meet you for a long time. May I sit down?
So you're Reynolds. Yes. Yes, sit down, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you. You sound surprised.
I am. You're not at all as Johnny described you.
That's so. How did he describe it?
Well, Mr. Reynolds, he didn't exactly describe you. But the impression I had was that you were just another, shall we say, operator with a gun in one hand and a blackjack in the other.
So, you're surprised?
And, rather pleasantly.
May I say I'm surprised, too?
Pleasantly, I hope.
Well, perhaps. I didn't think Johnny Nelson left his valuables without proper protection.
I understand what you're driving at, Mr. Reynolds. But you don't see any ownership labels on me, do you?
Now, that sounds as if you're a bit peeved with my friend John.
A bit. When your date gets a phone call and just walks away from you, wouldn't you be peeved? If you were a girl.
Particularly if I were a beautiful girl.
Oh, you turned that very nicely, Mr. Reynolds. You said you've been wanting to meet me. Why?
I've seen your pictures. I've seen you. Isn't that enough?
You know, I like the way you talk, Mr. Reynolds. Go on. Go on as long as you want to. I like you, Ronnie.
You're way up on my list, too. Funny, though.
The way we met?
No. The two guys in your life, Ronnie and John.
And if they ever met in my place,
maybe we ought to meet.
Ron, you are crazy.
I mean it, Jill. Why should Johnny and I be enemies? We got together, we could run this town. How about it, honey? You start the deal. You might even get a cut of the take yourself.
Yeah, why not? After all, a girl's best friend is her bank account.
Dum-Dum's alone, all right. Yeah, there he is. How'd you know, boss?
The one I said I have in common with Nelson has Nelson on the string tonight.
Huh? You got something in common with Nelson?
Cherchez the fin, Goofy. Remember little Jill? Here we go. Okay, Dum-Dum. This is it.
Reynolds, don't try nothing. You won't get away with it.
Won't I? Show 'em, Goofy. And this time, don't miss.
No, don't!
And that is that.
Drag his body into the alley. Quick. Then meet me. You know where.
Ron, I'm sorry I'm late. I had an awful time with Johnny.
Why? What happened?
Oh, he's jealous and suspicious. And when I talked to him about you, he drew conclusions.
Now, how would he figure I was getting close to you?
He couldn't know we'd been too careful. But he wondered why I was so interested in getting both of you together and all.
You sell him a bill of goods?
Well, I got him to believe I was afraid he might get hurt again, but that's as far as I got. He's upset about Dum-Dum, too.
Why?
Well, he hasn't heard from him in 3 hours. And this was collection night down in the market. Ronnie, I don't think tonight's a good night for you to just walk in on him. There's no telling what he'll do.
You leave that to me. Got the keys, sweetie?
Yes.
Yes.
No, Ronnie, I won't.
Yes, baby. You want this trouble settled, don't you? You want your commission, don't you?
Ronnie, I won't give you the key, but I'll open the door for you.
Okay, baby. Suits me.
This is the floor. Funny. Lights must have burned out.
Which door, sugar?
This one. Wait, I can hardly see it. Yeah, this is the key. Ron, you're sure this is the way you want to do it? Just walk in on him like this?
It's the only way, baby. Let's go.
All right, then.
Which room, Jill? Honey?
Right across the living room. Right over there.
Right. Goofy. You there?
Yeah, right behind you.
Ron, what are you up to?
I got him, boss.
Good. Now, listen, Joe. One sound out of you, you'll get what Nelson's going to get. Jump on the couch. Too scared to bleed.
Roger, double-cross me.
Shut up. This is done. You'll be my girl. Come on, Goofy.
You should have let me stop her, boss.
Okay, Nelson. You got visitors.
Yeah, visitors. How'd you get in here?
We had the key.
You had the key. I'll beat that dame to death to help me.
You'll beat nobody. I got a proposition. Interested?
With a gun in my face, can I help myself?
You'll notify your association that I'm your representative while you're away. Then, out of town.
Are you crazy? Dum-Dum will handle you.
Tell him, Goofy.
Dum-Dum's got a hole in his head. The back of his head, I put it there. Oh, you think you get everything under control, don't you, Rat?
I know it. What's the answer to my proposition?
The answer is, get out. Get out and don't try anything.
Johnny, all right.
Better than you'll be when I get my hands on you.
Do you really think you'll ever get your hands on anybody, Nelson?
And how? You're too smart to dump me, Reynolds. I've never seen a gun that had my number on it. And you know my boys will find you, even with Dum-Dum out of the way.
Well, lock, Goofy. I don't want the dame in here.
Locked.
Get behind him.
No, you don't.
Yes, he does.
You can't. You start. From the back again, Goofy?
Not Goofy. Me. And from the front. I want you to see the gun with your number on it. Hold his ears, Goofy.
Check and...
Okay, hold steady, Goofy. See the pretty little pistol, Nelson? With a little round hole in the front of it? There's a little round bullet in the chamber, Nelson. And it's got your number carved on it.
Now, Reynolds, you're nuts.
Hold him, Goofy. Let him drop, Goofy.
Right, boss.
Now, let's get out of here. This thing's gunpowder.
Johnny, you shot him. You killed Johnny.
He lived too long. We tried too many times at long range. Are you coming with us, babe, or are you staying here?
You monster. You crossed me. You killed Johnny.
Shut up. Get on your feet. We can't leave you here. Grab her, Goofy.
Get away from me.
Shut up, kid. I do like I'm told.
Let's go.
Go away, Reynolds. Don't reach. Don't move your hands. All right, check the place, boys. Did the woman call the police, miss?
Yes, I called. They killed Johnny Nelson and Dum-Dum. Nelson's inside. Inside there.
Jill, you're fired. Shut up!
That'll be all for now, Reynolds. You can speak your piece in court. Till then, keep your trap shut. All right, take him down to the squad car, men. By the looks of that bedroom, there's a job here for the morgue detail.
Crime does not pay. Horace McMahon, who was starred as Ron Reynolds in They Gotta Have What to Eat, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Horace McMahon.
Well, it's true that the failure of men like the Prado stealers in this story to get together and fight back gives racketeers and gangsters the chance to prey on our pocketbooks. It's also true that there's no excuse for men like Ron Reynolds. Reynolds chose the life he led of his own free will. In the end, he reached the point where he enjoyed violence for its own sake and killing for the sense of power it gave him. But in the end also, Reynolds learned, as they all learned, that he could not win forever. Reynolds found out, as they all find out, that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gard. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkins. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This I believe. Floyd Kramer is a bank president. The son of an Arkansas farmer, he went to New York in 1927 to become a bank guard. He got lost on Wall Street and wound up instead with a job at the New York Trust as a messenger boy. 14 years later, he organized the Washington Heights Federal Savings and Loan Association in New York City. Here now is the creed of Floyd Kramer.
I was born in one of the southern states almost 40 years after the collapse of the Confederacy. As a child, I listened to many stories about the Old South and how much better life was before the war. I heard much about a luxury that had faded. It seemed to me that everything my people had possessed had been taken away from them by cruel and misunderstanding enemies, generally referred to as the North or the Yankees. For several years I hated that enemy and couldn't possibly understand why it had invaded the land of my people and had deprived them of so much. This feeling remained with me until I grew old enough to think for myself. And as I grew older and thought more and more for myself, I began to realize that there was a little bit more to the story than I had learned. I came to understand American history a little better and the great issue that slavery had presented in the middle of the last century. I saw the great figure of Abraham Lincoln walk across the stage of American history. I saw and felt the conflicting forces of civil war, the terrible passions aroused, the hatreds, and the bloodshed of a people fighting itself. I saw and relived again a period when brother fought brother, and a nation turned against itself. I was glad that all this had preceded me. But there were other things that I also saw, things that remained with my people and with me. These were the lingering animosities, the feelings of a defeated people which carried forward from generation to generation. There was the sectionalism still with us. But most of all, and worst of all, there was a helplessness of a people crying over spilt milk, milk that had been spilt more than 40 years before. The South had physically recovered more than it had recovered mentally. This troubled me. It troubled me because I could not understand it. I belonged to a new generation. The Civil War and all that followed it was in the past. As a boy in my teens, I came to clearly believe that the whole South could resurrect itself almost immediately if its people could find the will to do so. As a man today, I am glad that this has largely happened and that it is continuing to happen before my very eyes. But out of all this there came to me a fervent belief that I myself can create for myself whatever I want if I will it. Every individual seems to be imbued by his Creator with the power to do anything for himself that he wishes. The only requirement is that he believe that he can do it. There are always with us individuals, groups of individuals, in fact whole nations, steeped in despair because they lack the will to lift themselves out of this despair. For myself, I have seen enough of life to convince me that this is true. I know many men and women today who have created for themselves a position in the world which they wanted because they have wanted it badly enough to put other things aside and to work for it. But their success is mostly due to the fact that they believed in themselves and believed in their ability to reach their goals. No amount of money or no other advantage can compensate for a lack of faith in one's own self. After all is said and done, the fact remains that I can reach in this life whatever goal I cherish if I believe that I can do so.
That was Floyd Kramer, a New York banker, who has always fought for better interracial relations and is an active member of the Urban League.
Calling all detectives. You generally think of ghosts as invisible, but I once had a ghost who asked me for help on a case. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. It isn't often that a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, gets involved in a ghost story, but it can and did happen. This was a very substantial ghost. Didn't look like one when he walked into my office. In fact, hello, Jerry, long time no see. Well, Mark Wendell, the big man on the campus. It certainly has been a long time. What's with you these days? Mark didn't like that question. Not so good, Jerry. Remember how I was voted the guy most likely to succeed? Well, I've succeeded all right in building other people's reputations. I didn't get that and said so. I'm a ghostwriter, Jerry. I make other people rich and famous on my brains. Calm down, Mark. I don't know what you're talking about. Mark Wendell sat down. Sorry, Jerry. I'll take it easy. Did you ever hear of Barton McCoy? I knew McCoy's name about as well as does anybody who has a radio. McCoy is a commentator. In 15 minutes a night, he solves all the world's problems. Sure he solves them, Jerry, from the stuff I write for him. And that's not all. I wrote the guide and travel books that made Frank Arlen famous, did a series on home decorating for Paul Renard, and even the lectures on child care and family living for Gloria Terry. Parasites, that's all they are, every one of them. There was more in the same vein. Finally, I got tired of listening. Look, Mark, why have you come to see me? You can call it sour grapes if you like, Jerry, but I can't take it anymore. I've written a book, shows up all these fakers for what they are, and, well, I expect trouble when it's published. You'll probably get it. If I do, Jerry, promise you'll help me if I call for it, because I'm going to expose those phonies even if it kills me. Mark Wendell, a ghost writer, intended to write a book exposing his clients and wanted to be sure of my help if he needed it. I promised to do what I could, and that's the last I heard of him for 6 months. Then, it was a messenger boy with a heavy package in his hand. I signed for the parcel, took it inside, and discovered I had the complete carbon copy text of Mark Wendell's book, The Real McCoy. I glanced through a few pages and discovered in 5 minutes that the thing was pure dynamite. Somebody had to stop Mark from letting this book get published, or else he'd face a dozen libel suits. Mark's apartment was on the top floor of a walk-up building. I went on in without knocking. There was nothing for me to do. Somebody had already stopped Mark, the hard way, with a bullet. He was stretched across the dinner table, his hand still clutching a bunch of grapes in the fruit bowl. Half an hour later, the little apartment was jammed with cops. My friend Lieutenant Dawson was in charge, and I told him as much as I knew about the case. Jerry, this won't be too hard to figure. You got here at 7:30. We know the messenger boy picked up that copy of the manuscript you were sent at 6:30. It's on his official receipt, which means Wendell was killed between 6:30 and 7:30. Okay. And we know who our suspects are, the people named in that manuscript. One of those people is the killer. Half a dozen police stenographers read my carbon copy of Mark's book. Each of them took a group of pages, and as soon as they ran across a name, Barton McCoy, bring him in. Frank Arlen, eh? Go get him. I want every one of them. There were 20 names listed in the script. But because we had the time element figured so well, we could narrow down the list of suspects to those people who couldn't or wouldn't account for that 1 hour between 6:30 and 7:30. Finally, our suspects narrowed to 4 people. The same 4 Mark had mentioned to me. Barton McCoy, Frank Arlen, Paul Renard, and the lady lecturer, Gloria Terry. McCoy, the radio commentator, was indignant.
See here, I have a national reputation for being cool and judicious. Do you suppose I would stoop to murder?
Frank Arlen, the travel expert, was frightened. I am Frank Arlen, the Frank Arlen. I want a lawyer. Paul Renard, the designer, was amused. Of course, I knew Richards and Morley were about to publish this book, but I doubt whether anybody would read it. The fellow had no reputation. Murder him? Ridiculous. And as for the lady lecturer, all she seemed worried about was that her makeup wasn't on straight. We put all four of them into one room, paid no attention to their threats or complaints. We gave them all copies of Wendell's manuscript to read, insisted that they read it, and waited for reactions. We got a fine bunch of reactions, especially if you could figure out what they meant. Renard, the designer, was still amused. He was reading the book for laughs. McCoy, the commentator, kept talking to himself. Gloria Terry read only a few pages and then just stared at the ceiling. As for Arlen, the travel expert,
I absolutely refuse to read this lying trash. Wendell was a fool. He had brains, a flair for words, but no originality. This book was written solely out of jealousy, just a plain case of sour grapes.
Sour grapes? That was a familiar phrase. Wendell had used it about himself. But there was another bell ringing in my mind. Grapes. The grapes his dead hand had been clutching. I had it. I got up quietly. None of you have to read anymore. 3 of you will be released in a moment because I know who killed Mark Wendell. Dawson was frantically shaking his head, warning me not to commit myself, but I ignored him. I faced the 4 suspects. Mark Wendell named his killer just before he died. There was tension in the air, and McCoy couldn't take it.
I didn't do it. I don't care if he did name me. I didn't kill him.
Take it easy, Mr. McCoy. I wasn't thinking of the title of Wendell's book, The Real McCoy. This time, the McCoy isn't that kind of a McCoy. I'm thinking of another phrase, of the fox and the grapes. Paul Renard tried to dart past me, but Dawson nailed him. Sure, it was Paul Renard. And Mark Wendell did name him. Renard, another word for fox. The grapes he was clutching. The last desperate attempt of a literary mind to draw an association to the age-old fable, the fox and the grapes. Yeah? Paul Renard confessed. He'd tried to buy Wendell off. And when that failed, he killed him, thinking that the book wouldn't be published after its author was dead. He was right about that. The publisher decided the manuscript had enough libel in it to put him out of business. But Renard wasn't foxy enough to figure that out. Like I said, it's all right to let somebody else think for you. But when you start getting your own ideas, and they include murder, then you don't stand the ghost of a chance. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
This is where he phoned from, and good Lord, there he is, lying under the call box.
Dead?
His throat cut from ear to ear. And there, look, right next to him.
Another of those devilish chessmen.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a moment in Death Across the Board. And now, Murder at Midnight, Tales of Mystery and Terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Robert Newman is Death Across the Board. It's about 11 o'clock on a sultry summer evening, and Dr. John Strand is standing in front of the window of a pawn shop in the oldest part of the city. There is the usual collection of odds and ends on display, and also some items that are rather unusual. On a sudden impulse, he pushes open the door and goes in.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Is there anything I can do for you?
No, thank you. If you don't mind, I'd just like to look around.
By all means. I just thought that if there was something in particular you were looking for, I have some very fine glassware. Hobnail, flint, and sandwich glass.
No, thank you. I don't go in for glass collecting. Hello, this chess set. It's a very interesting one. And a very interesting game you're playing.
My dear sir, you have no idea how interesting.
Whose move?
White's.
Oh, well, then White should win in 6 moves.
That, sir, is very much open to question.
Well, perhaps we can play sometime. How much for this set?
Oh, I'm awfully sorry, but it is not for sale.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yes. However, if you are interested in chess and chessmen, I know of a set that I think might appeal to you. It is an Arabian set, 12th or 13th century ivory, reputed to have belonged to Salah ad-Din. The white pieces are Saracen warriors, and the black pieces are crusaders.
You have it here?
Unfortunately, no. But it is not very far away, and if you thought you'd like to see it...
Well, if it's not too expensive, and if you're sure it's no bother...
My dear sir, don't give it another thought. I will be most anxious for your reactions, even if you do not buy. The address is 23 Valen Place. That is down 2 blocks and 1 to your right. Ask for Felix, and tell him that Raphael sent you.
23 Valen Place, and ask for Felix.
I will phone him. Tell him to expect you. Your name is...
Strand. Dr. John Strand.
Very good, Dr. Strand. Somehow I have the feeling that we shall see each other again.
All right.
Perhaps even have a chance to play that game you mentioned before.
Who is that? Who is there?
Felix?
I said, who is there?
My name is Strand. Raphael sent me over here. He said he'd phone you and tell you...
Just a moment.
How do you do? I hope I'm not disturbing you.
Very well. Come in. Now, hold your hands up.
What? I'm afraid there must be some mistake.
There is. You have made it, thinking you could come here and take me in this way.
Well, but this is ridiculous.
I said hold your hands up. Keep them up.
Now, look, Felix, if that is your name, will you do me a favor and call Raphael? He sent me over here to look at a chess set.
And don't move, do you hear? Stay right where you are with your hands behind your head. You so much as move. Hello? Oh. Hello, Raphael. Yes, he just got here. What do you think? I shall take him into the back room. Do it there. No. No one will hear. Right. I'll call you back. Very well. In there.
What for?
Because I said so, that's why.
Conceal! What? Drop that gun! Drop it, you hear? Oh, my wrist! I should have killed you right away. Okay, now get up and tell me what this is all about. Do you hear me? I said get up. Felix. Dead. Hello?
Felix?
I'm sorry, he can't come to the phone just now.
Oh, Dr. Strand. Congratulations.
What? Who is this?
This is Raphael. Now, do you think it is possible for White to win in 5 moves?
Well, what do you mean? What in heaven's name...
You killed him, did you not? Of course you killed him, or you would not be speaking to me now. May I suggest that you go through Felix's pockets, take out the most interesting thing you find there, and bring it to my shop?
What? Hello? Hello? Raphael! Goes through his pockets. Well, I've got to get to the bottom of this and find out what it's all about. A wallet, keys, and a chessman. A black rook. A black rook. All right, Mr. Raphael. I think perhaps I'll take you up on that. I will go back to your shop.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Yes. Where's Raphael?
I'm sorry, he's not in right now, but... Are you Dr. Strand?
I am.
I'm Alice Hines. He must have been expecting you, Doctor. He asked me to give you this.
What is it?
I don't know, but...
Another chessman. A white knight.
Oh, yes. Mr. Rayfield is quite a chess player.
Yes, he's more than that. He's a murderer.
What?
Or at least he has friends who are.
What do you mean?
I mean just that. He sent me to see someone, a man named Felix, to look at a chess set. And when I got there, this Felix pulled a gun on me, and when I tried to get it away from him, it went off and killed him.
Oh, no.
Oh, don't look so surprised and innocent. You work for him. You must know what it's all about. And that's what I came back here to find out before I called the police.
There must be some mistake. Some horrible mistake.
Yes.
I've only been working here for a few weeks, but he's been very nice to me. Kind and considerate.
A mistake, eh? Then why did he phone Felix while I was there? How did he know he'd been killed? Why did he laugh about it and tell me to come back here?
I don't know, but I can't believe that about him. I won't.
No, well, we'll see what the police have to say about it. Where's your phone?
Back there. But if you're serious about it, you don't have to bother calling them.
Why not?
Riley just went past here a few minutes ago. But there he is, up at the corner.
Fine, that'll save some time. Officer, would you come here a minute?
Oh!
Good Lord, someone shot him.
That woman hiding behind that car there. The woman in black. And she's coming in here.
Don't just stand there. Get inside and shut the door.
You shot Riley. Killed him, just like that.
Yes, 6 months I've been waiting, trying to find out who got my Ben. Now he'll rest in peace. Where's Rayfield?
Rayfield?
Yeah, it was him that got the dope for me. Told me how to knock the cop off, and he told me to come in here afterwards.
Well, Miss Hines?
I still can't believe it. I can't.
You can't believe what? Why are you looking at me so funny? Say, whose side are you on anyway?
Not ours, my dear. What? Not on our side.
Ah, so that's it. I just took it for granted that... Okay, get your hands up and keep them up. What'll I do with them, Rayfield?
I leave that to you, my dear. After all, they are witnesses.
Yeah, that's right.
May I recommend the cellar right through that door there? It's quite secluded and quiet.
Yeah, okay. Get moving.
I repeat, Miss Hines, well...
It's mad. Fantastic. What are you going to do to us?
You can't be that dumb, babyface. 6 months I've been wearing black for the only guy I ever loved. Finally, I got the guy that got him. You think I'm going to leave the two of you around to put the finger on me?
You mean you're going to kill us? But you can't.
No. Seems to me I did a pretty neat job on that flatfoot. After all, they can't burn you more than once, can they? Okay, open that door and go on down.
Allow me, madam.
Never mind, wise guy. You go down first and then babyface.
Well, it's not very good manner.
No, I'm not going to let you do it. Give me that gun. Look out, you fool. Look out.
Down there after her. And hurry. Watch her while I get the gun. Oh, that was nice work. I was going to try to take her myself.
I didn't mean to do it. I was just trying to get the gun, but she tripped, fell. Oh, Dr. Strange.
Yes?
Why is she lying there so funny? Her head.
Wait a minute, let me see. Oh, her neck's broken. She's dead.
Oh, no. That means I killed her.
Not any more than it means I killed Felix. Well, Miss Hines, I think you must believe me now. I ask you for the last time, do you know what's behind all this?
I told you I don't. Mr. Rayfield was always wonderful to me, and Oh, look. There, lying next to her. It must have fallen out of her bag. Isn't that another chess piece?
Yes, the Black Queen.
He gave me one, just like it when I first came to work for him. Only it was a white one.
What?
Yes, a white one.
Black Queen, White Knight, and... No, it's impossible. And still...
What is it?
It's too incredible. But I've just gotten an idea. A mad, fantastic idea that... Come on, we're going to the police.
Go ahead, Dr. Strand.
Mr. Rayfield.
By all means. But remember, it's my move now.
Rayfield's move. With 3 pieces removed from the board already, 3 corpses, and the hands of the clock still moving toward the witching hour, and more.
Murder at midnight.
And now, back to Murder at Midnight and Death Across the Board. It's about a half hour later, and sitting in the office of Police Chief Adams, Dr. Strand has just finished his account of everything that has happened. There is silence for a minute. And then, without looking at either Strand or Alice, Adams says,
So, you each bumped someone off, eh? And you've come here to give yourselves up.
No.
No, we certainly didn't come here to give ourselves up. I told you that in both cases it was self-defense. We're here because there's a madman loose, a homicidal maniac, and you've got to do something about him.
A guy that just goes around bumping people off for fun, eh? Or rather gets other people to do his killing for him.
Oh, no, there's much more to it than that. Much more.
Yeah? What?
Well, it just came to me a little while ago.
Well, that's nice.
There was something strangely familiar about this Raphael. Did you ever hear of Raphael Norbert?
No.
He was one of the greatest chess players in the world. Won practically every tournament in the books. And then about 5 years ago, he disappeared. Well, I believe he's playing another chess game now, the maddest game that ever was. Is there a map of the city around here?
Yeah, right there on the wall.
Now, let me see. Now, here's Raphael's shop. Yes, this will be it. This section of the city here, 8 blocks each way, this is his chessboard. And human beings, people like Alice and me, are his chessmen.
What?
John!
I know it sounds fantastic, but I think it's true.
Oh.
Now, when he sent me to Felix's, he told me to go down 2 blocks and 1 to the right. That's a knight's move. In other words, he had cast me as one of the white knights in his insane, murderous game.
Oh.
Alice was the white queen, he himself was the black king, and so on.
He just lined up all these people, said, you play this piece, you play that.
Oh, no. That was the beauty of the game, the fascinating, exciting part to him. No one knew that they were playing in it but he. Felix didn't know that he was a black rook any more than I knew I was a white knight. But Raphael's black pieces were all criminals of some sort who wouldn't hesitate to kill. And it was by killing that one piece took another. You see, that was the ultimate refinement of the game. He could plan a move, but he had no way of telling which piece would take which.
What do you mean?
Now, for instance, I killed Felix instead of his killing me. In other words, Raphael was not only playing his game against law and order, against society, but he was matching his brain against that of every other piece in the game.
Against law and order, eh? I got this in the mail a couple of weeks ago without any letter or anything like that. How would this fit in with your theory?
The White King. Of course. That means he's playing this game principally against you.
Now, do you believe us, Mr. Adams? Do you?
I don't know. Well, I suppose it's possible. We've been having a funny kind of crime wave lately. Killings without any apparent motive and... Excuse me. Hello?
Hello, Chief. Valenti speaking.
Yes, Valenti.
I'm down the corner of 3rd and Sycamore. There's something kind of screwy going on. I was...
Hello? Hello? Valenti! What's the matter? One of our detectives down at 3rd and Sycamore, and it sounded like somebody got him. Now make sure about this before you answer, but would this be part of what you were talking about?
Well, let's look at the map again. 3rd and Sycamore. That would be in the area. That's Raphael's chessboard. Yes, I think it is.
Okay, come on. We're going down there and see.
There he is, lying next to the call box.
Yeah. He's dead. Stabbed.
John.
Yes?
Mr. Adams. Look there, lying next to him. Another chess piece.
Yeah.
Yes, a pawn. A white pawn. Well, of course. If you're the White King, then all your men would be pawns.
Pawns, huh? They're the pieces that get pushed around, aren't they?
Well, they're the ones that are usually sacrificed.
2 of my men, Riley and Valenti. Okay, Strand, if this Raphael wants to play, I'll play with him.
Then you do believe him?
Yes. You're a chess player, Strand. Do you think you can figure out what this Raphael character is going to do next and tell me how I can meet him?
I might. I only got a very quick look at the board, but if I could remember the location of the pieces...
You mean he's actually got a board set up showing where all the pieces, everybody is?
There's one set up on a little table right next to his desk. No one's allowed to touch it.
That's the one. I think I remember the position of the pieces that were left, but some moves may have been made since I saw it.
Well, what are we fooling around here for? Let's go to the shop and make sure.
That's the store right there.
Well, it's all dark. Doesn't look as if anyone's there. Locked, all right. You have a key, haven't you, Alice?
No. Raphael never gave me one. He always locked up himself.
Well, what do we do? 2 of my men killed and you ask me a question like that? You think I'm going to play legal and wait for a search warrant? Look out. Okay. Now, where's the light?
Right here. There's the chessboard over there.
Yes, I know. Let's take a look at it.
This all there is to the place?
Except for the cellar. She must still be down there. The woman in black...
We'll go down there later. Well, Strand?
Well, at the moment, Black seems to have the edge on us. Several moves have been made, and we've lost several pieces, but we've still got a fair chance.
Oh, the devil with winning that game. Where's this Raphael guy, the Black King, and what's he going to do next?
Well, now, wait a minute. Just give me another minute or two, will you? The Black King is still in his own square, which would seem to mean that he's still here someplace. But the thing is, I'm not sure whose move it is now.
Oh, hi, Dr. Strand. I am still here, and it's my move.
What the thunder? There's Raphael speaking over some kind of a loudspeaker system, maybe from the cellar.
All right, I'm going to see. I'll find out.
Oh, John!
Oh, Alice. Alice, where are you?
Here. Right here.
Are you all right?
I think so. What was it? What happened?
Well, he must have had the place mined or set a booby trap. And when Adams went to open the cellar door, Where is Adams?
I'm not sure, but I think he's over there.
I must have some matches someplace. Yes, here. Oh, under that beam there.
Oh.
Help me lift it off.
All right. Oh.
Okay. Adams.
Is he?
No, but he's badly hurt and losing blood. We've got to get him to a hospital fast. Now watch it. This way. The emergency ward is right in there.
How do you know?
Well, I ought to. I interned here. It's funny there's no one around. Now, put him right there on the table.
All right.
Easy. That's it. Hello. This is Dr. Strand speaking from the emergency ward. I have a very severe accident case here. Is there anyone around who can take care of him? What about surgery? Crandall? Oh, fine. Will you ask him to get down here as soon as possible? Thanks. The chap I used to know has just finished an operation. He'll be down right away.
There'll still be time?
Yes, I think so. We'll have to give him a transfusion once we get him patched up. Now, I'd better rustle up a sterile uniform for myself in case Crandall needs a hand. If I remember, they used to keep them in here.
Isn't there anything I can do?
Just keep an eye on him. The tourniquet particularly. It'd be just too bad if he lost any more blood.
Right. He's still unconscious, but I think...
That you, Crandall? I'm awfully glad you're here. Pretty serious case. Adams, chief of police. An explosion.
Oh?
There's no time to go into the whole story now. But if we don't work fast, we may lose him. I only had a chance to make... What are you doing?
Removing the tourniquets?
No, wait. I'm not ready with the ligatures yet. You're not Crandall. You're Raphael.
What?
Right, Dr. Strand. Raphael Norbert. Dr. Crandall is still in surgery. Locked in, as a matter of fact. I put on this mask and gown not because I thought it would fool you, but because, well, somehow it just seemed appropriate.
But it can't be you. You were in the shop.
No, Dr. Strand. If you're thinking of my voice, as you guessed, it was coming over a loudspeaker system from next door. And if you're thinking of my position on the chessboard, you forget that I had not made my move yet, huh? You probably expected a Brodsky endgame. That would have been the classical move. but I played a variation of it. You castle. Right.
What?
I know you do not play chess, my dear Miss Hines. Castling is a move in which the king changes places with one of the castles or rooks. It was a move which brought me here to the hospital waiting for you.
Mr. Raphael, I don't know why you've done everything you have, and I don't care, but you've got to let us do something about Mr. Adams. All that blood he's losing.
Yes, Raphael, for heaven's sake.
Do not move, either of you. I do not want to have to shoot, but I sincerely hope it will not be necessary. Though all, when the chief dies, the game will be over. And the most interesting game it has been.
But haven't there been enough deaths already?
Oh, you are very sentimental, my dear. I'm afraid you would never make a good chess player. Pieces have been taken, that's all.
But suppose we just give up. Say you've won.
That's right, Raphael. We'll concede you the game, but let me do something about Adams. There's still time. I've got everything ready here, all the instruments.
No, Dr. Strand. This is one game I will not concede. That I insist on having played out to the last move.
Well, if that's the way you want it, all right. And if I'm not mistaken, it's my move now. And here. The formaldehyde won't help them any. Get his gun, Alice?
Yes.
Watch him while I get these tourniquets back on Adams.
Do you think you can still save
Yes, his pulse is weak, but I think we can still save him. As for you, Raphael, you made one bad mistake. You forgot that 3 of us came to your shop. The White King, White Queen, and White Knight. That would put you in check. And you can't castle when you're in check.
I bow, Dr. Strand. I felicitate and congratulate you. But if I am to lose, I prefer to lose in my own way.
Look out, Alice! Watch it!
He went through the window. Shall I call the police? Get them to go after him?
No. There's a railroad underpass right outside. A drop of about 60 feet. I think that's game, match, and tournament.
One last move, and the game is over. Over as we like to have all our stories end, with a final...
Murder at midnight.
Remember to be with us again when death moves his black chessmen and the clocks strike 12 for...
Murder at midnight.
The part of Dr. John Strand was played by Eric Dressler. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M.
This I believe. Fran Warren is a popular singer. She grew up in New York's crowded borough of the Bronx. When she was 11 years old, she would recite poetry that she and a school chum, Barbara Bell, had written. They decided between them that Fran would become a famous singer and Barbara a songwriter. Years later, A Sunday Kind of Love became Fran Warren's first hit song. It was written by Barbara Bell, now her personal manager. The road to success in the world of entertainment is much more winding and full of detours than those two girls could have imagined when they were 11. Cynicism and slickness are sometimes the line of least resistance. How has this young singer fared? Why didn't she turn back, or follow some tempting-looking shortcut to the top? Listen now to Fran Warren's beliefs.
I suppose we're all prone to the fault of pointing at ourselves and saying, "See what I've done." But I'm going to commit that fault anyway, just for example's sake. It was only about 6 years ago that I was just another kid from the Bronx with a yen to sing. I had sung at school dances, but nothing professional. And about the time I graduated from high school, I heard about a new band that had been organized and was looking for a girl singer. I'll never forget that subway trip to Manhattan, which was my first, even though I was born and raised in New York. After that audition, which scared me half to death, I landed my first professional singing job with Art Mooney. Later on, I sang with, Charlie Barnett, Claude Thornhill. One important thing that I learned very early in show business was that people are instinctively nice. With each band, I learned something because there was always someone who took the time and the trouble to show me where I was doing the wrong thing. Equally important were the people who saw and listened to me, and then came backstage or wrote to me afterwards. This is something that makes me very proud and very humble at the same time. When I first broke into show business, I never thought the day would come when a total stranger would walk up to me and say, "Fran, we enjoyed your singing very much." Perhaps I can sum it all up by telling about two people who are very, very dear to me. I won't embarrass them by giving away their names, but for years, wherever I have played an engagement in this country, these two girls have made it their business to be there. And many times I have wondered how they managed to find both the time and the money to be with me. But just like the old faithful geyser of Yellowstone Park, they always pop up. I'd like to say thank you to them because through them I feel I'm saying thanks to a lot of wonderful people. You know, in meeting all these people from coast to coast, I've discovered another fact. It's frightening in one sense to be in the public eye, even if it's in a small way that I am. But so many people watch you and take heart or are disheartened by what you say or do. I can only honestly hope that I never disappoint them, because there are many times when I've been disappointed in myself. Many a time I've been depressed and about ready to throw in the sponge, but from literally out of nowhere something would break for me and, well, I'd feel as if my career had just started all over again. This I sincerely believe, that there is opportunity for anyone in this country. But to make that opportunity come alive, you must have faith, and a faith that is made up in equal parts of a faith in yourself and faith in something bigger than yourself.
That was Fran Warren, a popular young singer who has discovered that success is a very demanding master.
New post-war Old Dutch cleanser, famous for chasing dirt, presents Nick Carter, famous for chasing crime. Every week at this time, two great names are joined as new post-war Old Dutch cleanser brings you one of the most resourceful and daring characters in all detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective.
Okay, Patsy, but let go of my neck.
It is wonderful.
You're choking me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah, that's better.
Look behind you. You can see all the way down to... Nick.
What?
That's George. All alone in that car behind us.
Great Scott, and he's hanging half out of the car. What's the matter with that guy?
Nick is leading way off.
Look out, Patsy.
Where are you going?
I've got to get back there before we go around the next turn.
It's too late, Nick. You'll be killed. He's going right out of the car.
Now, the case of the Midway murders. Today's adventure starring Lon Clark as Nick Carter. Brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch cleanser. It's a warm summer evening at the Idle Hour Amusement Park, and business is even better than usual.
Let's stick
the fastest, the wildest roller coaster in the park. Excitement, chills, and mile-a-minute thrills. The scenic railway you'll never forget. Here they come again. Only 20 cents for the flight of your life. That's the beauty and the beast.
That's what we call the show, folks, the Beauty and the Beast. And it's starting right away. You see this lovely, delicate little lady, alone and single-handed, subdue the ferocious man-killing gorilla from the jungles of far-off Borneo. It's starting right away, so get your tickets now. Bongo, the most ferocious gorilla in captivity, and Lily Latour, the little lady who, alone and single-handed...
Nick Carter speaking.
Nick, this is George Haley.
Hey, where in the world are you, George? I thought you were coming down to my place for dinner.
I'm in a phone booth at the Idle Hour Amusement Park, and I've got to talk fast. Nick, can you get out here right away?
Why, yes, but what's up?
I'm no detective, Nick. I've got to have help. I've been following this guy ever since I recognized him on the bus on the way to your house. But I have...
Hey, wait a minute, George. Who are you following?
Joe Lester. At least that was his name when he was in Bayside Penitentiary 12 years ago. I think he's working here at the park now. He's not a customer, that's for sure.
Hold on, George. You're going too fast. What's this all about?
I want you to find out if he's the man I think he is and what he's doing now. It's terribly important to me, Nick.
Okay, I'll get there as fast as I can. How'll I find you at the park?
Wait for me by the whirlwind.
The what?
The roller coaster. I may be late, Nick, but I'll be there. I'll be there for sure.
Roller coaster all night.
Well, this is our last ride, Patsy. 5 times is enough. After this one, we'll wait for George out front.
Oh, Nick, it's so nice and dark in the tunnel.
Well, it's too dark for my mother. I like to see things.
The tunnel only lasts a minute. See? We're out of it already.
Well, here we go up the first incline. Certainly glad we're not going to have those teenagers yelling in our ears again, mister.
Yes. I guess we have the car to ourselves this time.
I wish George would hurry up and get here.
You know, I wonder who this Joe Lester is that he's following, Nick.
Well, George mentioned Bayside Penitentiary. He used to be a guard there, you know.
Yeah, I know. Didn't he get into some kind of trouble?
Yeah, he was accused of helping some of the convicts escape.
George Haley? Oh, why, that's ridiculous.
I know it is, but the evidence was against him, and all the escaping convicts were killed, so they couldn't testify in his favor.
Oh, watch out, Nick. Here's the big dip.
Hey, Patsy, let go of my neck. You're choking me.
Oh, I love it. And look behind us. You can see all the way down to... Nick.
What is it?
There's George in the car behind us.
What? You're right, Patsy. He's half out of the car.
He must have fainted. Nick, where are you going?
I've got to get back to him before we go around that sharp turn.
It's too late, Nick. You'll be killed. Oh, he's gone, Nick. Thrown right out of the car. Right in front of me. He was out on the valley platform.
Yeah, I saw it, too. It's a wonder he didn't hit somebody and kill him. That thing is 100 foot high. Keep back, everybody, please.
Let me through here.
Is there anything we can do, Nick?
No, Patsy. He must have been killed instantly. Looks like every bone in his body's broken.
Golly.
What happened here? Woody, what's the matter? Better ask Slim. The whirlwind is his concession.
The guy put out of the car, Mr. Broughton. Going around a high turn.
Good grief. You the manager of this park? I'm the owner, John Broughton. Are you the police? I'm a private investigator. My name's Nick Carter. The dead man was a friend of mine. Oh, nothing like this has ever happened before, Mr. Carter. Your friend must have been standing up in the car. No, he wasn't standing up. Can I talk to you and can I talk to the concession manager in your office? Why, certainly, of course. And you two. Didn't you say you saw what happened?
Yeah, I run the Beauty and Beast show right next to the Whirlwind. Lil, Miss Latour here. We was out on the valley platform.
And you two come along to the office, please.
All right.
The park police can take care of things here until someone arrives from homicide.
Homicide?
Yes, Mr. Broughton. I called Sergeant Matheson. This was no accident. It was murder. Folks, this is Sergeant Matheson of Homicide. Mr. Broughton, the owner of the park, Matty.
Mr. Broughton. How do you do, Sergeant?
Slim Watson, who operates the roller coaster.
Hi.
Miss Lillian Latour, an animal trainer in the show next door.
Miss Latour.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
And Woody Reeves, who operates the show in which Miss Latour appears.
Howdy. Hello, Reeves.
Now, first of all, Matty, I'll tell you what I know. Patsy and I were in the same string of cars as the dead man when he was thrown off the roller coaster.
Yeah?
George Haley, a friend of my father's.
Were you together when it happened, Nick?
No, we were trying to find George. He was following a man who came out to the park on a bus about 8 o'clock. Someone George had known when he was a guard at Bayside State Penitentiary.
How do you know that?
Well, George phoned to ask Nick for help in finding out about the man. All George knew was that he was probably a park employee.
You see, Patsy and I were supposed to meet him in front of the roller coaster, so we killed time by taking a few rides.
Uh-huh. And then I looked back and saw George in the car behind us.
The man must have been standing up, Sergeant. I tell you, we saw him, Mr. Broughton, and he wasn't standing up.
Okay, Nick, but what makes you think it was murder?
Well, Matty, the body was badly smashed up.
And?
But not the back of the head. And I found blood there.
Well, naturally, after such a fall as that...
It was dried blood, Mr. Broughton, from a blow that had been struck some time before he fell out of the roller coaster.
Now, wait a minute, Nick. The guy might have had some accident you didn't know about.
No, Matty, that was the blow that killed him. Otherwise, it would have raised a lump the size of a hen's egg. And there was no swelling at all.
What are you talking about?
A medical fact, Mr. Broughton. Swelling does not take place after death.
Right. Then he must have been riding around in that thing dead ever since he was slugged.
Oh, no, he wasn't, Sarge. I collect tickets before every ride. And I'm sure I certainly wouldn't miss seeing a dead guy.
Then how in Sam Hill did he get in there?
I have an idea, Sergeant.
Yeah?
At the beginning of the ride, there's a dark tunnel. If the murderer had been hiding in there with the body...
Now, that's impossible.
Huh?
Oh, there's only 3 inches clearance on each side of that tunnel. One man couldn't possibly hide there, let alone 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, then somebody must have dumped him in there from someplace else along the route.
With every inch of that track lit up bright as day, he sure needs plenty of knives.
Besides, Matty, from the time the car leaves the top of the first incline, it's going at breakneck speed.
Well, let's forget about how he got in the car for a minute and try to find the guy he was after.
I'll bet he caught this Joe Lester.
Joe Lester?
You recognize the name, huh, Mr. Broughton?
Why, no. No, there's never been any park employee named Joe Lester. I'll swear to that.
Joe Lester. I've heard that name before.
Now, look, Sarge, can you get through with Lil and me as quick as possible? That gorilla of mine has been over there for almost an hour without any water in his cage, and he just... You better stay here, Woody. Somebody else can take care of Bongo.
Mr. Broughton, you know there ain't nobody but Woody and me can get near him. Anybody else try to walk into that cage, and Bongo tear him apart.
Lester. Huh? But look, Nick, how about it? You need these folks any longer?
I just want to ask them one question. We found a ticket stub from your show in Haley's pocket, Woody. So he must have followed Lester in there. Did you happen to notice anybody come in just before Haley?
I didn't even notice him.
Miss Latour?
No, I didn't see the guy either.
Joe Lester. By golly, I've got it.
You know him, Matty?
I don't know him, but I remember who he is. And if you think Joe Lester murdered Haley, you're out of luck, Nick.
What do you mean?
Joe Lester's been dead for 12 years.
Dead?
Sure, drowned while he was trying to break out of Bayside Penitentiary. His body was swept out to sea.
Bongo, move back away from that cage door, you big ape. Can't you see I'm bringing you some water?
Woody, let him wait a minute. I gotta talk to you. Shut up, Bongo.
What's the matter, Lil?
You killed him, didn't you, Woody?
Me? You're nuts.
Don't lie to me, Woody. You know I'm too crazy about you to ever tell, but I gotta know the truth.
Whatever put a crazy idea like that in your head?
Because you're the guy he's after. You're Joe Lester.
Baby, you're way off base. Joe Lester was drowned.
They never found the body. And Joe Lester was in Bayside Pen 12 years ago. And you done a stretch at Bayside 12 years ago. You told me so.
Oh, whatever. So did a couple of thousand other guys.
Oh, Woody, don't lie to me. I said I hadn't seen the guy before, but I did. I seen him talking to you during my act.
Baby, you need glasses. That was Broughton I was talking to.
I tell you, I seen it. It was right after Broughton left you and come back here. And your face when you saw that guy. It was like you was looking at a ghost.
You're dreaming thing.
No, I'm not. You're the guy he was after and you killed him. You're Joe Lester.
Now, look. Didn't you hear him say that Haley followed Lester out here on a bus about 8 o'clock?
What? Why, yeah, Woody, that's right.
And I began right here doing a show every 20 minutes since noon, ain't I? Just like you have.
Oh, that's right. It ain't you after all. Oh, honey, I was so scared.
Shut up, Bongo.
Hiya, Mr. Broughton.
Woody, can I use your car for an hour or so?
Sure, Mr. Broughton. Here's the keys.
I drove into the city for dinner, and something went wrong with my gas line. Had to come back on the bus.
You come out on the bus tonight, Mr. Browden?
Yeah.
Hey, Lil, you better get ready for the show.
About 8 o'clock, wasn't it, Mr. Browden?
Lil.
What if it was?
And you was talking to Woody just before.
Oh, what? What are you getting at, Lil?
Nothing. Excuse me.
Hey, she's kind of upset, Broughton. You know, seeing a guy fall and everything.
Are you sure that's all it was?
What else? Keep your shirt on, Bongo. I'm coming.
Yeah, go ahead and take care of the gorilla, Woody. I think I have something to take care of, too.
Nick, do you really think it was Joe Lester that Haley was following?
Well, Matty, you say yourself there was no real proof that Lester died in that prison break. The body was never recovered.
Well, you know, Sergeant, Haley was accused of helping that engineer escape. And he must have thought that by finding Lester, he could prove his innocence.
Yeah, but Lester saw Haley first and killed him to keep from being turned in. Yeah, it figures.
Yeah, but how in the world did Haley's body ever get into that roller coaster?
Maybe we'll find out when we catch the killer.
Well, I wired Bayside Penn for Joe Lester's description and fingerprint classifications.
Good. I should be here in a couple of hours.
Yeah, and once we get our hands on Lester...
Carter!
Nick, it's that girl from the sideshow, the gorilla trainer.
She looks excited. I wonder what's up.
I don't know.
Carter. Mr. Carter.
Yes? What is it?
I know who he is.
Joe Lester?
Yeah. A few minutes ago, he...
Hey, Nick, catch her. She's fainted.
I've got her. Give me a hand, buddy, will you?
Wait, easy. Great Scott.
What's the matter?
Look at my hand.
Hey, that's blood.
You're right. She's just been shot. And she's dead.
As Nick gently lowers the body of Lillian Latour to the ground, a curious, excited crowd begins to gather around the murdered girl. We'll see what happens in just a moment. Now, back to The Case of the Midway Murders. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. In the office of John Browden, the park manager, Nick and Matty have been investigating the death of Lillian Latour.
Confound it, Matty. Thanks to the noise of the rides in the shooting gallery nearby, we haven't found anyone who even heard the shot.
I still can't believe it really happened. Lil and me, we was going to be married.
All right, take it easy, Woody. We'll get this Joe Lester, don't worry. And when we
Why
do...
do you always come back to Joe Lester? You said yourself the man was dead.
No, Mr. Browden. Sergeant Matheson said he was reported dead. But I have a hunch we'll find him very much alive.
You said it, Nick. Miss Latour knew who he was. That's why he killed her. But she couldn't have known. She'd have said something to me if she did. Why, me and Mr. Browden was talking to her not 5 minutes before it happened.
Well, that's very interesting. Because Miss Latour's last words were that she had just learned who Joe Lester was.
Well, then she must have found it out after she left us. Because there was no mention of him while we were talking, was there, Woody? Was there, Woody?
Oh, no, Mr. Browden. She never even mentioned his name. Browden, I want to talk to you.
I'm busy now, Woody.
Now, that's what I want to talk to you about. You ain't going to be so busy from now on.
What do you mean?
From now on, I'll be doing half the work. Because you're going to give me a half interest in this whole park.
Now, look, Woody. You've been bleeding me for 3 years. But this is too much.
I'm letting you off easy, pal. What do you think the cops would say if I told them that George Haley come up to me just after you left this afternoon and asked me if you wasn't Joe Lester?
That's a lie.
It's the truth. Lil got wise, so you had to kill her, too.
I didn't. It's a lie.
I put on a nice act for the cops, didn't I? The poor, broken-hearted boyfriend. That's me. And now you're going to pay for that act with half of this park.
I won't do it. You've bled me for the last time. Hey, let go of that gun. Let go or I'll break your arm.
I pull something like that. I'll just turn this over to the cops, too.
Now, Woody, listen.
Not interested. All I want to know is, do I get half of the park? Or do I tell the cops that you're Joe Lester? Okay. You win, Woody. I'll have the papers drawn up tomorrow morning.
Carter. You got the whole roller coaster to yourself.
Thanks, Slim. Now, I want you to run this car as slowly as possible through the tunnel. And when I yell, stop it.
Okay, but I still don't get the idea. There ain't room for anybody to hide in that tunnel.
That's the same I want to see for myself, so let's get started, huh?
Okay, here you go.
What's the idea? You think Slim's lying?
I don't know, Patsy. But since Haley's body couldn't have been put in the roller coaster from outside, I can't see where else it could have been done but in the tunnel.
Well, here it is.
Now, slower, Slim. You have the flashlight, Patsy?
Here. But I'll bet while we're fooling around here, Sergeant Matheson has already caught Joe Lester.
Could be. The description and fingerprint classifications got here from the Bayside pen. And Matty said he was going to round up every park employee to see whether any of them resembled the description in any way.
Then why in the...
Oh, hold it, Slim.
Okay.
See, Nick? It's just as Slim said. This tunnel's much too narrow for anyone to hide in. Especially if he were carrying a dead body.
Patsy. The walls of this tunnel are boards.
Well?
Look at the two boards right beside us, where I'm holding the flashlight.
But... Why, they look as if they've been taken out and put back again.
And they're going to be taken out a second time. Give me the crowbar.
Yeah. Here. Oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, what's that?
Sounds like the gorilla.
Oh.
Woody's concession is next door to the coaster, you know.
Yeah.
There.
Well, you didn't accomplish much by taking those boards off. Look what's on the other side. Iron bars.
Yeah. That does sort of upset my theory.
What? Nick, we must be right up against the gorilla's cage.
Let me put these boards down.
Nick, it is the gorilla. There he is on the other side of the cage.
Don't worry, Patsy. He's changed, see?
Oh.
Must be an exercise cage. Too big for anything else.
Well, Haley's body couldn't have come through there. The bars are too close together.
Mm-hmm. Unless... Look, Patsy, this bar's loose.
Oh, Nick, don't take that ball out. The gorilla.
He's chained 20 feet away from us, Patsy. Bar's out. I'm going in the cage, Patsy. Maybe you better stay out here.
That's exactly what I think. But I'm going with you just the same.
All right, come on, then.
Oh.
Hello, Woody. Just the person I wanted to see.
Hey, how did you two get in there?
Come inside the cage and I'll show you.
Get away from that door, Bongo. Get away.
I wish he wouldn't do that.
Move away from that door, I told you. That's better. Now, stay there. Now, what's the idea, Carter?
I found out how you got George Haley's body into that roller coaster car.
How what? No, you're wrong, Carter. I didn't kill him.
Oh, yes, you did, Woody. When he came into your show, you lured him backstage and killed him with a blow on the head. Then when the roller coaster went through the dark tunnel, you turned out the lights in here and dumped the body into one of the cars through the same opening we just came through.
Well, maybe that's the way it happened, but it wasn't me that done it. It was Broughton. He's Joe Lester.
Broughton?
How do you know?
Him and me was at Bayside Pen at the same time. Broughton got away on that break, and everybody thought he'd been killed. He came here, got his hands on some money, and started this park.
Go on.
Well, Haley spotted him today. He asked me about him, and Broughton brought him back here to talk it over. That must have been when he done it.
How about Miss Latour?
Lil seen Haley come in. She thought it was me he was after. And when I proved that I couldn't have been Lester, she knew Broughton was. And when he learned that she knew, he had to kill her, too. Bongo, shut up.
Woody, if you're lying, it won't do you any good. Joe Lester's description and fingerprints were sent here from Bayside Penitentiary.
Okay, so let him take me and Broughton down to headquarters. Them fingerprints will prove he's the guy.
One thing more, Woody. Why haven't you said this before? Even after you thought Broughton killed your girlfriend, you kept quiet.
I didn't know that he'd done it, did I? And besides, keeping quiet has paid off pretty good for me.
You mean you've been blackmailing Broughton?
Yeah, I've been shaking him down for plenty. But I sure ain't going to go to the chair for him.
No, you're not. You're going to the chair for your own crimes, not his.
Huh?
You've just supplied the one thing that was lacking, Woody. A motive. You killed Haley and Miss Latour because if either of them had exposed Broughton, it would have put an end to your little blackmail racket.
That's crazy. You can't prove nothing like that.
I think I can. Miss Latour said that no one could go near Bongo but you and her.
Oh, what's that got to do with it?
The killer had to bring Haley's body through this cage.
But Bongo was chained up.
Where he could reach the door and anybody who came through it.
You had to drive him away yourself a minute ago to get in here. It's a cinch that Miss Latour didn't kill Haley and then murder herself. So that leaves only you.
Okay, smart guy. So you think Bonga would have torn anybody apart that came here near except me and Lil, huh? Well, I'm going to show you that you're right.
Nicky, that's Daphne the gorilla.
Get behind me, Patsy.
Yeah, Mongo.
Even as Nick frantically pulls the trigger, he knows that revolver bullets can never stop the 500-pound gorilla charging furiously toward him and Patsy. We'll see what happens in just a moment. Now for the conclusion of The Case of the Midway Murders. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. In the gorilla's cage at the Idle Hour amusement park, Nick and Patsy realize that revolver bullets may slow up the attacking monster, but never stop it.
Get through that hole in the cage where the bar's missing. Hurry! How did you think? The gorilla's too big to squeeze through that hole.
Nick, what are you getting out of the cage door?
Stay where you are, Woody. I still have a couple of bullets left. You take another step, I'm going to shoot.
I'll get the Port Police.
Right. And tell him we've got Mr. Woody Reeves where he'll be for some time to come. Behind bars. Sergeant.
Yeah?
I'm really glad it's over. Ever since I escaped from the penitentiary, I've been living in fear. Paying blackmail.
Yeah, it must have been pretty rugged, Browden. Or maybe I'd better call you Lester, huh?
After I finish my sentence, I can really be free.
You've been a pretty good citizen these past 12 years, Browden. I think the pardon board may take that into consideration.
Especially since it was your first offense.
Well, whether they do or not, I'm glad I can clear George Haley of having had anything to do with the break. Believe me, he didn't know a thing about it.
I never thought he did.
Mr. Carter, why did you believe I was innocent of killing George after you found out that I was Joe Lester?
Why, when I first mentioned that George was on Lester's trail, surprise and shock was written all over your face.
But that's what I mean. I must have looked guilty.
You did. And I figured you either were Lester or knew something about him. But if you'd killed Haley for that reason, you wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah. You know, there's also one thing that's bothering me, Nick.
What, Patsy?
How could Woody have been so sure Haley's body would be thrown out of the roller coaster so that his death would look like an accident?
Woody didn't plan it that way.
Huh?
His only idea was to get rid of the body.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Browden, you'll be glad to hear that the vet says your gorilla isn't seriously wounded.
That's good.
I only fired at his legs, hoping to stop him. I didn't want to kill him.
Yeah, but there won't be any more Beauty and the Beast show without Miss Latour to appear in the cage with him.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Patsy'd like the job.
What?
Well, you've already made one appearance in his cage.
I've made 2 appearances, Nick. My first and my last. Believe me.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this same time by the Cudahy Packing Company. It is produced by Jock McGregor and is copyrighted by Street & Smith Publications, Incorporated. Charlotte Manson is featured as Patsy. Ed Latimer plays Matty. Today's script was written by Jim Parsons and directed by Charles Skenk. Original music is played by Henry Silverne. This program is fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. This is Michael Fitzmaurice saying, when minutes count, use new post-war Old Dutch Cleanser. This is the Mutual Broadcast.
This I believe. Congresswoman Frances P. Bolton of Ohio was elected in 1940 to fill the unexpired term of her husband. She has been a member of the important Foreign Affairs Committee of the House for the past 7 sessions of Congress. Her creed is unusual, reflecting perhaps her New England heritage of unorthodoxy. Her father's wonderful library was her playground, and she absorbed an inherited set of Emerson and studied the Eastern religions as well as Christianity. Out of a lifetime of activity and contemplation, Frances Bolton has distilled her personal philosophy.
I believe with Seneca that the end of being is to find out God. When I was but 12, death entered my life. The dear old rector of a nearby mission chapel took me on his knee and told me very gently that I must not be unhappy, for God had put my mother to sleep until the resurrection day. My revolt was immediate and violent. I slid off his knee and ran out the door to the sea beach, where I had taken all my child agonies, for there God always seemed closer and more real than in any church. A flame of indignation consumed me as I shook my fists at the sky, calling out with all the passion within me, "That isn't true, God, and I must know what is. Do anything you want to me, but let me find truth." My search has led me to the place from which I can say with entire simplicity that I believe you and I are part and parcel of the stream of universal life, as water drops are part of the great sea. I believe that what we call a lifespan is but one of an endless number of lifetimes during which, bit by bit, we shall experience all things. I believe that we are responsible for our thoughts and actions from the moment the soul asks, "What am I?" And that once that point of development is reached, there can be no turning back. I have learned that such a belief exacts the development of a courage which demands great fortitude and ever-increasing endurance to acquire. I am not too dismayed by the darkness into which mankind has betrayed itself, for I know, as only women can, that all new life comes out of darkness through the gateway of agony and anguish into the light. I am convinced that could men now know how truly each one builds his own long future, and so the future of mankind, they would not continue on the path of destruction, but would turn their faces away from darkness towards the light. I believe with the ancient Aryans that, and I quote, "Never the spirit was born, the spirit shall cease to be, never. Never was time it was not. End and beginning are dreams. Birthless and deathless and changeless remaineth the spirit forever." I believe that before time was, into the seeming stillness of an incalculable speed of vibration, there came the moment when the infinite drew a deep breath and form began. There was no time nor space, but there was motion, for within the infinite being the concept of universes had been born. Without him was not anything made that was made. And there was light and there was absence of light. There was beauty and the absence of beauty. There was good and the negation of good. But all were within the being and of the essence of the infinite God. Made of the stardust of infinity, man has evolved, even as the stars and suns, as worlds and moons, out of the essence of God. Once started on his pilgrimage, begun in unconscious perfection, he will continue through light and darkness, through goodness and the negation of goodness, until in his own time he reaches perfected consciousness and is reabsorbed into the infinite being of the Godhead. This I do humbly believe.
That was the Honorable Frances P. Bolton of Ohio. In 1952, she and her son Oliver were both elected to the Congress of the United States.
Wheaties presents Night Beat. On stage tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, Night Beat, another in the Wheaties' big parade of exciting half-hour presentations. Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the Night Beat for the Chicago Star. Stories begin in many different ways. This one began when a man who wanted to play king and ended with a real king taking top billing. Old King Death.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
flakes are not very large, but my, what they have for you. They've got vitamins and minerals and protein galore. They've got crispness and a nut-like taste. And they're flake after flake of genuine fun. Breakfast fun. Like when you slice bananas on Wheaties and pour on the milk and spoon into 'em and chomp down on 'em. What could be more eating fun and still be so good for you? Why, every Wheaties flake is a whole kernel of wheat. And you know how much whole wheat does for you. Breakfast of champions. Breakfast of kids. Breakfast of grown-ups from coast to coast. No, Wheaties flakes are not very large. But you dig into them first thing in the morning and they'll still be with you long toward noon. And that's a promise. Buy some Wheaties. Buy lots of Wheaties very, very soon. And see how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
Chicago's theatrical district at night is a river of light, flashing marquees and gay crowds. But through it flows a deep current of hunger and disenchantment, illusion and hope. Yes, hope, forever dying, but never quite dead. There was hope, a strained, threadbare hope on old Max Saracen's face as I crossed Randolph Street and saw him buttonholing Charles Kelsey. Kelsey's a play producer, currently more famous for the frequency of his marriages than those of his stage hits. As I strolled up, Max had one hand on Kelsey's arm, his gaunt, bearded face eager and anxious.
You should have notified me, Charles. I certainly would have appeared at the tryouts if I'd known they were being held. Surely it's not too late.
I'm sorry, old boy. Oh, hello there, Randy.
Hiya, Charlie. Hello, Max.
Charles, listen. You know my work. Remember my performances in the Theatre Guild Shakespeare Festival. Me King Lear, me Richard III.
Yes, Max, yes, but that was over 20 years ago.
And it was I who asked that grand old man of the theatre, Frank Gaydosh, to take you on as an assistant. If it weren't for
Can't
me...
you understand? Henry IV has already been cast. What do you do with a fellow like this, Randy?
Henry IV? Don't tell me Shakespeare on Randolph Street.
Why not? In modern dress and a few sensational innovations that I promise you, Randy, will make Chicago sit up and take notice.
Well, maybe you got something, Chelsea.
I promise you they will sit up and take notice, Charles, if I do King Henry for you. It cannot be too late.
Oh.
You said yourself it would...
Max Saracen paid no attention to me. His haunted eyes were fixed on Charles Kelsey, and his tall, angular figure towered over us as he pleaded to the producer. The old actor had a single-track mind,
sorry, Max.
but I could see that as far as Kelsey was concerned, it was going in the wrong direction. It embarrassed me to hear him plead with Kelsey, for the old man had once been great.
Shakespeare's kings from Priam to Claudius.
I've said all I've got to say to you tonight, Max. Now, if you'll kindly remove your hand from my arm...
I'm not asking for any major part, Charles. The part of the king is fairly minor in this play, but it was made for me.
Max, for the last time...
Charles, please, I need it.
Oh, you relic, you. Do I have to use force?
Oh, cut out the rough stuff, Kelsey. Don't.
Move! Hey, hold!
The old man changed before my very eyes. It was frightening. He was suddenly a giant, taller and broader than I'd ever seen him, the stoop in his back gone and rage blazing from a face of iron. He stood like a king in majestic wrath, his eyes darting about until he spotted Charles Kelsey pushing his way through the crowd.
Hold, you foul, fat-witted dog! Stop!
Max, wait!
Keep away. Take your hands off me.
Max, don't be a fool.
I'm warning you, Max. I don't want to hurt... Help me!
Max, stop it. Stop it. You're killing him. Max staggered back as I drove my shoulder into his chest, and Kelsey dropped to the pavement, still kicking. I hurried Max across the street where my car was parked and took off just as a cop showed up. When we got out of traffic, I headed out Sheridan Road along the lake. A nice cool breeze blowing off the water, Max. Feel better?
Why, yes. I feel all right. You're Randy Stone, the journalist.
Who did you think it was?
I just... what happened?
What do you mean, what happened? You had a little argument. Max, look at me. Don't you remember?
Oh, what time is it?
Wait, it's nearly 8.
Oh, I'm late. How could I have forgotten?
What?
I was going to see Mr. Kelsey, Charles Kelsey, you know, the producer.
Oh, I see.
He's opening with the production of Henry IV. You've probably heard about it.
Yeah. Now, look, Max, why don't you join me in a bite to eat at Mr. Joe's? What do you say?
Why, what time did you say it is?
It's about 8.
8. He often works late, yes, of course. My dear lad, would you mind dropping me by Charles Kelsey's office on Randolph Street, the Warwick Building? I may catch him yet.
Well, look, we can call him up and... Uh-oh.
Eh? What is it?
A police car just pulled in behind us. Some Eagle Scout must have taken down my license number.
What do you mean? Why?
Max Harrison?
Yes, I'm he.
All right, climb out.
What?
Now, look, officer.
What's the meaning of this?
The meaning is you're under arrest.
They bundled Max into their car and drove off. I tailed them to headquarters where Max was booked for simple assault, a misdemeanor, and held on $50 bail. I found a telephone and called up Max's home. His wife answered. She broke down when I told her what had happened.
How could he? He was depending so much on getting a part of Mr. Kelsey's play. It meant everything.
Well, Max isn't well, Mrs. Saracen. The quicker you get him to a doctor, the better off he'll be.
I can't. I haven't got $50. We haven't anything, Mr. Stone. Well, there isn't even any food in the house.
Oh,
Max, he's been going crazy trying to make ends meet, trying to pay my doctor's bill.
Well, look, don't worry now. I'll see what can be done. Well, what could I do? Not much. So I went to the office. I touched a few of the boys. There were 5 here at 10 there until I had it. Then I went back to headquarters. The desk sergeant stared at the money.
What's this?
Max Harrison's bail. You can turn him loose.
I turned him loose about 20 minutes ago.
What?
Sure, Kelsey dropped the charges.
Oh, I see. He must have finally figured out which side his publicity was butted on. Max go home?
I don't think so. Kelsey sent a limousine over to pick him up. He wants to see him.
Kelsey? Wants to see Max?
Well, that's what the chauffeur said. You know, Stone, I'm beginning to wonder if I did the right thing. The old man didn't seem right in the head. I'm kind of worried.
You're worried. So long, Sergeant.
Hey, where are you going?
To Kelsey's office before Max kills him. I couldn't imagine why Charles Kelsey would want to tempt fate by bringing Max to his office. But whatever the reason, I was too fond of the old actor to have him run the risk of killing a man. I rushed to the Warwick building, went up to the 10th floor where Kelsey maintained his offices. I was about to go in when the door jerked open. Max Saracen shuffled out, pushing past me blindly, and I grabbed his arm. Hey, Max.
Eh? Oh, Randy.
What is it? What happened?
Huh? Oh, nothing. Why?
What did Kelsey want to see you about?
He offered me a job. A job.
Max.
Yes?
What kind of a job?
Playing a part.
What kind of a part?
I can't tell you. Please let go of me, Randy.
No, wait a minute, Max. Now, wait a minute. What's the big mystery? What kind of a job is this going to be, anyway?
Oh, it could be the death of me. Now, please, let go my arm, Randy. The death of me.
Max.
General Mills is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
You know something? You use up an awful lot of energy in a day. Whether you're mending fences or breaking sales records, writing novels or wringing out clothes. Doesn't much matter. You burn it up like a champion ball player burns it up. So why shouldn't you store up energy like a champion stores it up? Why shouldn't Wheaties be doing for you what Wheaties do for ball players? Well, I can answer that question. Wheaties should. Wheaties should be giving you vitamins and minerals and proteins. Wheaties should be giving you that early morning energy that helps you through the whole AM. Wheaties should be providing you with crisp, nut-like eating fun at breakfast. And believe me, Wheaties will if you give them a chance. They're not known as breakfast of champions for nothing. Not on your life. Every Wheaties flake is made from a whole kernel of wheat. It counts big in that breakfast bowl. And the more Wheaties, the bigger the breakfast time help you get. Very simple, really. You buy Wheaties, you bring them home, you eat them faithfully when you bounce out of bed, and Wheaties will give you what the ball players get, right in your own sunny kitchen. Breakfast of champions. Breakfast for you. Just like that. Try them. See how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
And now, back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
After Max Saracen had publicly humiliated Charles Kelsey by attacking him in the street, I didn't think the producer was going to offer Max a job without some kind of a catch to it. And when Max emerged from Kelsey's office, I could see by his face that I was right. The old actor was crushed. I barged into Kelsey's office to find out for myself and to warn him that he was playing with dynamite.
Mr. Stone, no man or woman, for that matter, can cross me with impunity. I keep books and I settle all accounts. Every slight, every blow, every insult. I keep a record of them all, Mr. Stone. I overlook nothing, and I repay with interest.
What satisfaction is there getting even with someone who doesn't even know what he did to you?
You expect me to believe that?
Your mind is so narrow it squeezes right through the facts.
I'll remember that.
I wish you would. Max is a sick man. Now, what kind of a job did you give him? Now, let's have it.
Take your hands off me.
I asked you. Why is he so upset?
Disappointment, what else? He wanted the part of King Henry. All I could give him was the job of understudy.
Understudy? Then why the secrecy?
The old ham fancies himself another Barrymore. He doesn't want it known that he's had to accept the part of a mere understudy. It's quite obvious, isn't it?
When is this show going to open?
Oh, in 3 or 4 months, I imagine. You're satisfied? Now get out.
Yes, I'll be happy to, just as soon as you tell me who's going to play financial angel to your Shakespearean clam bake now that your wife has separated her bankroll from it.
My wife and I have suffered long enough from the malicious lies of scandalmongers like you, Mr. Stone.
Oh, yes, I know. What about that well-known scandal sheet, the court record? That separation suit was faked, I suppose.
Mrs. Kelsey has reconsidered since then.
Oh, well, congratulations. You stay married to her long enough, you too can be in the social register.
The social register. I'd express an opinion on that point, Stone, but not to you. My wife's passion for blue blood is a foible outside the realm of this discussion. However, if it helps convince you that we've solved our differences, you might note that we're entertaining tonight with a little reception in honor of Count Raphael de Guidio.
Oh, where did Max go when he left here?
How do I know? Now, will you get out of here?
Yes, with pleasure. I need a little fresh air.
Hello?
Oh, hello, Mrs. Saracen.
Yes?
It's Randy Stone again.
Oh.
Has Max gotten home yet?
No, he'll be home late. He's dining out.
What's that?
He called up a little while ago. I guess you know what happened, don't you? It was awfully generous of Mr. Kelsey. The whole thing was a mistake. He never meant to have Max arrested. But I do appreciate your concern for Max. It was good of you to call me.
Look, who is Max dining with?
Well, it was Mr. Kelsey at his home. He wanted to discuss a pass with Max for his Henry IV. It's a wonderful break. Just what we've been hoping for. Max was all choked up with emotion when he told me about it. It's about time. Poor darling.
So Kelsey had actually invited Max over to his home. Why? What kind of web was he weaving for the old actor? Whatever it was, I knew it had only one purpose in Kelsey's twisted mind, to destroy Max Saracen, to get even. I got into my car and headed for the Gold Coast where Kelsey lived. I pulled up in the courtyard, went to the door, flashed my press card at the butler.
Thank you, sir. I believe you'll find most of the press people in the next room by the punch bowl.
Oh, thank you for the tip, but I'm looking for one special character, Max Saracen. Have you seen him?
Saracen, sir? No, sir, I do not believe...
All right, I'll look around. He's probably somewhere in that mob on the ballroom floor.
I think not, sir. There has been no Mr. Saracen. I've let in everyone, sir, and there's been no one by that name. That's quite definite, sir. I would remember a name like that.
Yes, well, I'll look anyway, thank you. I shouldered my way through all that soup and fish, feeling as conspicuous in my everyday clothes as a burglar at a policeman's convention. Where was Max? I glanced from one face to another. There must have been nearly 300 of them there. Was he in another part of the house? Had he come in by another entrance? I couldn't be sure. Kelsey was nowhere to be seen either. If he was alone with Max, there was no telling what would happen. I spotted Mrs. Kelsey over with a group of females clustered about the guest of honor. I was heading in her direction for information when a voice behind me brought me up short.
Stone! Well, what are you doing here?
I'm slumming, Kelsey. Where's Max? I know he was coming here.
Charles, well, it's about time you were arriving. Whatever's been keeping you?
I've been tied up at the office, and then I had to get dressed. Oh, Edith, this is Mr. Stone, the Chicago Star. My wife.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Charles, the Count has been here for quite some time now. Come on and meet him. Hurry.
Kelsey, as soon as you're through, I'd like a word
Oh,
with you.
Mr. Stone, you really should meet the Count Raphael de Guidio yourself. He's just arrived from Barcelona, and he's truly one of the most delightful and charming gentlemen I've ever met. A true aristocrat.
Yes, it'll be a pleasure, I'm sure.
This way. Oh, poor man, just look at him over there behind those palms.
Where? I don't see him.
Over there, in the midst of all those women. They're simply devouring him. Oh, Count Raphael. We'd better go round. Here he is. Oh, Count Guidio.
Signora Kelsey. I am... Oh.
The Count de Guidio stood staring at me. A red ribbon of honor, 3 medals decorating his magnificent dress coat. In fact, any way you looked at him, he was a magnificent figure of a man with a magnificent snow-white Van Dyke beard, every inch an aristocrat. Except, of course, he wasn't the Count de Guidio at all. He was Max Saracen.
My husband, Charles, Your Highness.
It is indeed a pleasure, Mr. Kelsey.
I have been looking forward to this for a long time, Count. Yes, indeed.
And Mr.
Stone. Randolph Stone, Esquire.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. The Count de Guidio. Mr. Stone is a journalist.
Well met, Mr. Stone. Well met. I have always admired the gentlemen of the Fourth Estate. To hold a mirror to our life and times is a profession requiring discretion, understanding, and perhaps the ability to say less than one knows.
Why, Count Raphael, you're a philosopher.
Yes, I see what you mean, Your Highness. Silence, even for a journalist...
Can be golden, Mr. Stone.
Yes, golden. It can also be yellow.
Oh, I see Commodore and Mrs. Dwight Vredenberg have just arrived. Will you excuse me, please? I'll bring them over.
All right, what goes on here? What's the idea?
Randy, please. I'm paying him well for this. Will you join me in a bit of punch, Randy? If His Highness will excuse us.
But, of course.
All right.
Come on, have a glass of punch, Stone. It isn't too bad.
You won't get away with it, not after the morning edition.
After tonight, Stone, the more you expose me, the better I like it. You know, it occurs to me that I should have invited you here in the first place. Your present fits very nicely.
What are you trying to do?
Teach my wife a lesson. Come on, I do say. Have some punch.
No, thank you. I've already taken it.
My dear blue-blooded wife will get the lesson of her life.
Kelsey, why don't you see a psychiatrist?
You do need a drink, old boy.
Yeah. Is there a real Count de Guidio? I suppose there must be.
Naturally. He was due to be here tonight, but I received a wire at my office saying that his plane was grounded en route from Miami, Lisbon, and Point Cease. So, not wishing my dear wife to be disappointed...
Oh, Charles.
Yes?
Oh, I'm afraid the Count isn't feeling very well. Oh, dear, I suppose it has been an awfully hard trip. He has to leave.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry. Where is he?
In the hall. I've had Perkins bring him his things. Oh, it really is too bad with the evening so young.
Max was getting into a big black limousine as I ran down the stairs to the driveway. I called to him. Max! The car door slammed shut. The uniformed chauffeur threw the limousine into gear and spun away as I reached the side of the car. I was about to turn and go back into the house to question Kelsey when I saw the car circle the driveway and stop at the servants' entrance. As I hurried over, Max was getting out and was stripping off his overcoat. Oh, Max, now don't tell me that Kelsey wants that outfit back before you go.
Randy.
What goes on?
If you must know, I'm going to help in the kitchen.
In the kitchen?
Yes, the kitchen. Are you satisfied?
But why? What for?
For $100.
100? How much did you get for playing the Count?
Also 100. But I don't get it until I earn the second $100.
But why? Why would he pay $100 for a dishwasher?
I don't know, but I've got to do it, Randy. I need the money. You might as well know it. Now go away, please. Let me get it over with.
Okay, Max, but you'll get it over with a lot faster with an understudy to assist you.
An understudy?
Yeah, me. Come on. So this was the payoff. This was the booby trap. I couldn't help feeling it was even meaner than it looked, and I wanted to be around to try to keep it from exploding. We went around and back the servants' entrance and stepped into the kitchen. Servants had evidently been briefed by Kelsey, but they said not a word. They asked no questions. They just stared at us and whispered a little to each other. A stout old dame pointed to the pile of dishes in the sink.
Them there.
Thank you.
What about an apron, Max? You can't wash dishes in that dress suit without...
I've got to, just as I am. It's part of the agreement. I won't kid you, Randy. I've got to do this. It's vital. My wife and I,
We've been starving.
You don't have to tell me. Look, when Kelsey decides to get even, he doubles it in spades. We grabbed a couple of dish mops and went to work. Max laughed silently to himself as he worked, silently and bitterly. He turned to me.
A king to account to a scullery boy in one short day. A breathless descent, Randy?
For my dough, you're still king, Max.
Thank you, lad. I, a king. You may me glory in mistake depose, but not me griefs. I'm still king of those... Oh, I dropped it.
Oh, forget about it. What's another dish to Kelsey?
There I lie like a broken plate, used briefly and then... Life is short, Randy, so short.
So what? It's not the length, but the performance that counts, and you were always great, Max, always.
You're a kind wag, my lad. A veritable squire of the night, a minion of the moon. We're the moon's lovers, you and I, Randy, governed by her as is the sea, for our fortunes do ebb and flow like the ocean's tides, now up, now down.
Well, that's life, Max. It's like sitting in the aisle seat of movies. That's the cleanser.
I'll hate you everlastingly if you bid me be of comfort anymore. I am barren, bereft of friends.
But you're not, Max.
I have lost the name of king. My jewels are a set of tawdry beads, my place a verminous hermitage, my rich apparel a beggar's garb. Oh, make foul weather with despised tears. Curse heaven and die.
Oh, he's falling to pieces. I've got to get him out of here before...
Right in here, ladies and gentlemen. Tycoons, barons, and literary lions. Here's the surprise I told you about.
Kelsey, stay out of here.
Hold the music, please. Here he is, your nobleman from Spain, your aristocrat, the Count Raphael de Guidio in person.
Count Raphael, what's the meaning of this? Charles.
This is the silk purse, my dear. The one you keep telling me cannot be made from a sow's ear. Well, look at it. The sow's ear that you were convinced was the silk purse I never could become. You're born gentleman. The kind of gentleman I never could be. Oh, no, I'm not good enough. Well, meet him. How goes it, Count? When you're through with those dishes, come out and give these hypocrites some more samples of your wits and gentility. Look at him, Edith. Look! Your gentleman. My hired clown.
Oh, you unspeakable.
Oh, you weak-minded phony. The only thing you've proved is that Max is a gentleman compared to you.
Done! Viper damned beyond redemption.
Max, take it easy.
Snake whom we've warmed with our hot blood. Spotted Judas. Keep away from me. Will ye bring calumny upon our fair name? By
Max, don't come back.
Get away! Put me down!
But it wasn't Max. Someone else, a giant, a king with a face of iron.
Let go! Help!
Well, put him down, Max. Put him down.
I'll make a Golgotha, you grinning skull.
No, Max, don't. Put him down.
When there are devils, cast them out!
Max had lifted him over his head and hurled him through the window to the street below. I clutched his arm and half dragged, half pushed him out of the door and down the stairs to the street. I got him into my car and we drove about for a while. He sat beside me, staring ahead lifelessly as he had once before that night. The power and the majesty had gone out of him. He was just a tired old man once more, talking to himself without making a sound. I stopped in front of a drugstore. I got out and found a telephone. I dialed the Kelsey residence.
Yes?
Who's talking?
Sergeant Charles Inc., City Police. Who's this?
Oh, this Randy Stone. I just left there a little while ago.
You took Max Saracen with you.
Yeah, that's right. He's with me now.
Keep him there. Where are you?
In front of a drugstore, corner of Main and Flower. How is Kelsey? Was he hurt much?
Yeah, he's dead.
I went to the car and sat down beside Max. He looked at me with a strange new light on his bearded face. One that was tragic and far off.
We have lost the name of kings. Me golden cup becomes a dish of wood.
Easy, Max.
Me one-time kingdom a grave, a little grave, an obscure grave.
Max, listen to me. Can you understand what I'm saying?
Nay, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. For death sits within the hollow crown that rounds our mortal temples and grins the buffoon, scoffing at our state. I, a king? You have mistook me all the while. For I only live by bread like you, dear cuz, like you. Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core. Aye, in my heart as I...
He sat there beside me quoting Shakespeare. He didn't know me or hear me. I don't think he ever saw me.
Once more.
He was in another world.
Once
a world
more.
of his own dreams.
Try God for heaven.
I heard the siren of the approaching police car.
St. George!
And I know that though his body still lived, Max was gone. The king was dead. Well, the lights are winking out one by one from Clark Street with its flop houses to State Street with its glittering shops. Dawn is around the corner, bringing an end to sleep and to the dreams of those who walk by day and rest by night. Well, as Mr. Shakespeare himself once said, life itself is but a dream. But dream or real, we only go through here once. Too bad we don't make more of it. Oh, well. Coffee, boy.
And here he is, the star of Night Beat. That was a fine story tonight, Frank Lovejoy.
Well, thank you very much, and let's thank Wheaties. Wheaties is sort of our middle name this summer, huh?
Well, a nicer middle name I can't think of, Frank. Folks at your house getting the Wheaties every morning, just like always?
Oh, sure. The kids love them. I do, too, as a matter of fact. We got a regular spot for Wheaties on the kitchen shelf. You know, the salt goes here, flour goes here, Wheaties go here, right up in front. Come on.
Sure, I know. Every well-run cupboard should have a spot for the Wheaties. And millions of cupboards do, I guess.
Yeah, say, what is it they say about Wheaties?
America's favorite whole wheat flake.
Breakfast of champions, that's it.
Atta boy. Thank you, Frank Lovejoy. We'll see you next week. Get your Wheaties, folks. As Frank said, keep them right up in front of the kitchen shelf. Have them for breakfast tomorrow morning. Remember, Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis and edited by Larry Marcus. Tonight's transcribed story was written by Erwin Ashkenazi with music by Frank Worth. Part of Max Saracen was played by Tudor Owen. Wally Mayer played Kelsey. Others in tonight's cast were Eleanor Audley, Ann Keenan, and Harry Bartell. Listen next week at this same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness.
And this is the Wheaties man, Frank Martin, inviting you to listen also on Tuesday, that's tomorrow night, to the Penny Singleton Show on the Wheaties Big Parade. See you then.
Forest fires again are destroying thousands upon thousands of our precious wooded areas and watersheds. 9 out of 10 forest fires are started by human carelessness. Crush out all cigars and cigarettes. Break matches in two after using. Drench campfires. Always find out what the law is about the use of fire in any particular wooded area. Save our forests from their enemy. Next to Lona Massey stars...
This I believe. That classic American phrase, self-made man, has taken some kicking around from people who have tried to use its tag of respectability to disguise ruthless drives for power. But manufacturer Frank J. Kegler, a product of New York City's night schools and the YMCA, is a self-made man according to the rules. Executive Vice President of Doler Jarvis, the world's largest producer of die castings, Frank Kegler now gives us his beliefs.
I was born in Brooklyn. My father died when I was 10, and my mother ran a stationery store to keep the family going. I had to go to work to help out, and before I was 14, I had learned pretty well what the word responsibility meant. Now, looking back over the more than 50 years of a full life, it becomes clear to me that a man's beliefs change with time. As a kid, I accepted responsibility because I had to, sometimes grudgingly. I welcome it now because I recognize it as one of the forces which drove me most convincingly through a life of continual struggle in a highly competitive world toward distant goals. To me, responsibility has always had a strong overtone of obligation, the need to carry through, not only for the need in itself, but for the implications to everything around it. Perhaps I am saying I recognize in life an obligation to myself and to society. I have been fortunate because my work has given me many opportunities to express this drive in concrete forms. Most of us, I think, feel a need to justify our existence. My firm manufactures thousands of articles, from waffle iron griddles to hydraulic brake pistons. To be a part of an organization which makes so many items which our culture uses fulfills for me a sense of social responsibility. And there is pride in the teamwork involved in the making of useful things. The increased responsibility of these times offer a continual challenge to me, crowding zest and interest into each working day. My appreciation of friendship has heightened, as well as the understanding of loyalties associated with friendship. The sense of personal integrity involved, the obligation to give fairly and receive with understanding, are all tied into my credo. Like most men, I've had a chance to express these things in my family life, in the happy years with my wife and son, and now with my daughter-in-law and grandchild. But this is only a part of the larger feeling of having a family of thousands of employees, to each of whom, in some degree or other, there seems to be an obligation too. Besides these strong drives, there are those very personal reactions that have to do more with a man in relation to himself. I feel a joy in a ride through crisp morning air with the rhythm of a well-trained horse beneath me, a quiet happiness in the response of the chords of an organ in leisure hours. I admit to a strong belief in order and system, not as ends in themselves, but because they are important means to understanding, planning, and applying all those productive forces which contribute to the enrichment of our way of life. But what if this order and system were swept away, and the other things I love and believe in were destroyed with them? I cannot be sure, but it seems to me that, lonely and sad as I would be, I would want to carry on, for in any system in which humans live, there are contributions that must be made. I should want to contribute to, using my experience and training. I want to carry on because I believe in the inherent goodwill of man and would seek those who felt as I did, so together we might serve as a rallying point for others. This makes me realize even more that my sense of obligation is not directed primarily to individuals, but toward the ideal that what needs doing should be done well.
That was Frank J. Kegler, an industrialist and a man with a broad sense of duty who keeps a full life well balanced in thought and action.
Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency. Roses are red, violets are blue. Crime doesn't pay, but see that you do.
Oh, Rick.
Oh, hi, Helen, baby.
Rick, have you ever thought of writing holiday greeting cards?
No. But then you might just have a thought there. Christmas isn't far away.
I think you'd better aim toward April Fool's Day.
Oh, sweet. Helen, did you call just to insult my creative genius, or do I get an invitation to dinner?
Well, the genius I didn't even recognize. The dinner, well, maybe.
Here I am, a poor, starving detective, and you confront me with maybe.
Oh, well, a girl can't be too careful about who she invites into her house these days. Do you have references?
From the best crooks in town?
Oh, well, I suppose it's all right. Come around to the back door, and I'll have Francis fix you a sandwich.
Well, now, don't go to all that bother, Helen. I'll just stop off at the mission.
Oh, you fool. Are you busy?
Haven't had a case since Well.
What is it?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think a flying saucer landed outside and its occupant just walked in.
Rick, what are you talking about? Who came in?
Well, it looks like an Otis love loon, but it's awake.
Oh, Diamond.
Got a vocabulary like Otis, too.
Look, Shamus, hurry up, will you? I got business with you.
Helen, I have no choice but to hang up. This man speaks with such authority.
Oh, Rick. If Otis is there, go easy on him. You'll tease that poor boy out of his mind.
Helen, Oh, no, it's too obvious. I won't say it.
I'll see you at dinner.
Bye. Well, well, well. Sergeant Otis Loveloon. What brings you up here? Want me to sign your report card?
The lieutenant sent me up, wise guy.
Oh?
Now, let's see where they put that paper.
Paper?
Oh, here. Mr. Richard Diamond, we of the 5th Precinct, having missed your sparkling personality, do hereby invite you to a tea to be held this palm.
This what?
This palm. That's what it says.
Let me see that paper. Otis, that's PM.
Well, don't that...
No. So what is all this? A tea at the 5th Precinct?
Sure, it's my idea. The lieutenant says we got to be more formal from now on, and he wants to see you.
So this is your idea of being formal?
That's right. Trouble with you, Diamond, is you got no culture.
Well, I'm hurt, Otis. You say Walt wants to see me?
Yeah, he sent me in a squad car for you.
Well, I can hardly wait to find out what this is all about.
Me, too. I delivered a letter to him this morning. He's been a changed man ever since.
A letter? Maybe he... Oh, no. Walt's too old for the draft. And so yours truly was ushered into a waiting squad car. Usually, Walt Levinson let me wear out shoe leather on my trips to the 5th Precinct, and his hospitality was overwhelming. Otis even stopped on the way and bought me some chewing gum. Of course, it was Otis's favorite brand, but then I'm no prude. I enjoy blowing bubbles.
He's in here, Diamond. Take off your hat.
What?
New rule.
Oh, no.
Here he is, Lieutenant.
Well, I got eyes, you numps. Thank you, Sergeant Otis.
Oh, thank you, Lieutenant. It was a pleasure.
You may take your leave now, Sergeant Otis.
Yes, sir, Lieutenant Levinson.
Otis, curtsy and get out of here, will you? This is killing me.
Oh, you had to go and ruin it all.
Walt, what's going on down here? Look at your desk.
What's wrong with my desk?
Well, it's tidy. Everything's in place. Are you ill?
Mr. Diamond, a man's desk reflects his character. Now, please be seated.
I think I'd better take this standing. This new trend in character is amazing.
Rick, look at this.
Looks like an ordinary letter to me.
Yes, but what's in it?
Well, you tell me what's in it.
Rick, I've been invited to speak at the annual Peace Officers Symposium at the University of North Carolina.
So?
So? Well, don't you know what this means? The top men from all over the country will be there. And to be a speaker, well, that's quite an honor.
Oh, comes the dawn. So this is why everything around here has become formal, huh?
Sure. After all, we got to have a little dignity.
Mm-hmm. Why send for me? In the squad car yet?
Well, it's like this, Rick. I'm supposed to make a speech concerning juvenile delinquency in New York.
Uh-huh.
Now, they also want someone to make a speech on the relationship between the policeman and the private detective.
Touching.
They told me to pick out a good man and bring him down. So I picked you.
Oh, Walt, you're so thoughtful. Sorry, but speeches aren't my line.
Ah, Rick, don't be that way. We'll have a good time. We leave tonight from Penn Station, get there in the morning. It'll be a nice vacation.
Walt, I can't afford a nice vacation. While I'm down there over the weekend, I might miss a client. I'll get somebody else.
Rick.
Well?
Remember last year when we decided to give all the private detectives an examination to find out whether or not they were still qualified to operate?
Sure, why?
Well, I just heard the commission may call another examination this year.
So what's this got to do with me going to North Carolina?
Well, last year, remember, I didn't exactly help you. Just a cough here and there when I saw you were writing the wrong answer.
Go on.
I was just thinking. Maybe this year I won't have a cold.
Oh, now, Walt.
Rick, this trip to North Carolina means a lot to me. All kidding aside, it's a big honor. Now, be a pal and go along.
Well, Walt...
Ah, that's a boy. I'll have the ticket clerk line up 2 tickets.
All right, Walt, I'll agree on one condition.
Shoot.
Well, I realize you're now a man of dignity, and I know that you think things should be more formal.
Yeah?
But for Pete's sake, take that doily off the lie detector.
Oh.
That's a nice, healthy groan. What's the matter, Walt? Train rides make you ill or something?
No, but I just had a horrible thought. I was so excited about leaving, I forgot. Otis will be in charge while I'm gone.
Oh, great. This is the biggest boon to crime since Prohibition.
Don't remind me of it.
No, I'll take your mind off of it. Look at the more pleasant things in life.
Like that blonde up front?
Oh, you're catching on, Fatty. Cute, isn't she?
I guess so. Only she keeps looking around. Sort of suspicious like.
Well, can't you take your mind off crime once in a while?
All right, I'm sorry I brought it up.
Everyone isn't criminal, you know. She's probably a co-ed on her way back to school.
That's your opinion. Me? I say she's got criminal connections.
Well, I have a buck that says you're wrong.
All right, you're on. How do we find out?
Walt, you're so naive. Look, she's going to the club car. Come on.
Now, where'd she go?
Well, there she is at the end of the car. Come on.
Hey, Rick, maybe we shouldn't. She might have a boyfriend around somewhere.
Oh, it's all right, Walt. I have you to protect me. Pardon me, Miss...
Yes?
I'm Richard Diamond, and this is Walt Levinson. Walt says he'd like very much to meet you, but he's the shy type and asked me to Miles Standish for him.
Diamond.
Well, you Americans, you are certainly direct in making the acquaintance of young women. But I cannot remember anyone who has done it in so few words.
Well, we're really harmless, and we would like to buy you a drink.
Why, I think that would be very nice.
Good. Let's order before Diamond proposes for me.
Oh, the waiter seems to be busy at the other end of the car.
Well, I'll go down there and get the drinks. Excuse me.
Are you traveling far, Miss...
Crona? Isabel Crona. I'm on my way to North Carolina.
Well, how nice. So are we. Do you live in New York?
No, I'm from Switzerland.
Oh, then you're a long way from home.
Yes, but I love traveling in your country. Everything is so beautiful. This is my first trip, but I hope to return.
Pleasure trip or business?
Oh, a little of both. I'm representing my country's police department at the North Carolina Symposium. Oh, perhaps I should explain that. You see, they are holding a convention...
Never mind. We know. That's where we're headed for, too.
Well, such a coincidence. You're a police officer?
Yes, that's right. Walt's a lieutenant, and I'm in business for myself.
Well, here we are. Hope Scotch is all right.
Fine. Thank you.
Here, Diamond. Pardon my thumb.
Scotch and fingerprint ink. What a combination.
Mr. Diamond tells me that you are a policeman, Mr. Levinson.
Yes, but don't let that frighten you. It's a tough life, but off duty we're just like everyone else. But I remember...
Walt, before you start telling her all about crime, let me tell you something. She happens to be a policewoman.
What? Well, I'll be.
You certainly will.
A flatfoot in high heels.
Well, sometimes it is advantageous, Lieutenant. If I were easily recognized as a policewoman, well, my usefulness would be at an end.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that.
Let's have another.
By the time our train reached Raleigh, North Carolina, we were old friends. From Raleigh, we took a bus to Chapel Hill, where the university was located. As we got off the bus, a short, red-faced man came up to greet us.
Hello there. Hello, my name is Kevin, Christopher Kevin. I take it you folks are here for the Peace Officer Symposium.
That's right. I'm Levinson from New York. This is Miss Isabel Crona, and this is Richard Diamond.
Yeah, I'm very glad to. How are you? I am the chairman of the Institute. We're taking a group picture on the front steps, and I think you're about the last to arrive. We can get started with the picture now.
This is a police convention, all right. Here 2 minutes, and lawyer Phil Potts wants to mug you.
You three in the back row there. Move in closer, please.
Well, that's one suggestion I don't mind. Bother you, dear?
Well, since it's all for art, I do not think I mind.
That's it. Now we get... Oh, my. You in the front row, you moved again. Now you've got...
Our little friend is having a rough time.
Yes.
My goodness.
What's the matter?
That man, the photographer.
What about him?
He...
All right.
Oh, it is nothing. It just looks so familiar.
Everybody smile. Easy now. Don't strain. Don't easy. Oh, no. The third row. Will you please stand still?
The little photographer pulled out a few hairs from his head and patiently rearranged his subjects. Half an hour later, he had succeeded in snapping enough pictures the group disbanded. Miss Kroner promised to have dinner with us that evening. So a couple of hours later, Walt and I were walking down the hall to her room. Playing like gentlemen, we knocked on the door that was half ajar. No answer. Still the gentlemen, we knocked again. This was getting monotonous, so we quit being gentlemen.
We shouldn't walk right in, Rick.
Oh, come on. Maybe she forgot. After all... Uh-oh.
What?
She didn't forget, Walt. Look.
Good Lord.
Better get on the phone and call the local peace officer. We have no jurisdiction here. Not even for murder. Walt and I stared down at Isabel Kroner's body on the floor. What had once been a pretty head was now crushed and wasn't a very pleasant sight. Walt called the local sheriff, and we waited until he arrived.
Well, you say you two found the body? That's right, Sheriff. My name's Diamond. This is Walt Levinson. We're here for the Peace Officers Symposium. Oh, yeah. And who was she?
Name was Kroner, Isabel. She was a policewoman from Switzerland.
Well, the coroner will be finished in a few minutes. Darndest thing I ever heard of. A policewoman gets killed right smack in the middle of a gathering of the best cops in the country.
Now, we called you right away. We figured if the news leaked out, every cop in the place would try and catch the murderer. They'd all run into each other, make a real mess.
Yeah, if we'd better keep it quiet till we can make an investigation. You all seem to know some of the facts about it. Care to give me a hand?
Sure would, Sheriff. Mr. Diamond here is a private detective, though. There's no client, Rick. Do you want to work on it?
Well, that's a nasty poke, Walt. I'm as anxious as you are to catch this girl's killer.
Good. Now, any reason you know of why anyone would want to get rid of her?
I can't think of any. She said this was her first trip to this country.
Johnson, check with the hotel manager. See if he saw anyone come in who might have entered this room. Now, let's see. Looks like she was hit with a heavy instrument.
Yeah. We noticed what might be a clue over here, Sheriff. There, on the floor.
Ah, a little vial.
We figured it might have fallen from the killer's pocket during the struggle. It's marked silver nitrate. There might be some prints on the bottle.
Well, let's hope there are. We can use a few breaks in this case.
What do you think about Simmons?
Oh, he seems like a competent sheriff.
He wants us over at his office after we have dinner.
Yeah, he's sending the vial on to the lab in Raleigh. I hope they turn up something.
What beats me is why was Isabel Kroner killed? Who did she know here?
Walt,
What's the matter, Rick?
I was just thinking. Remember when we had our picture taken earlier today?
Sure, why?
That little photographer? Isabel seemed to recognize him. She shrugged it off when I asked her about it, but she had a strange look on her face.
Yeah, you might have something there. At least there's one person who might have known her. Let's look him up and ask him a few questions.
Oh, no. On second thought, I don't think we'd better. If he did kill her and we asked questions, he might leave town. Let's just keep an eye on him till the lab has a chance to go over that vial.
Right. Here's a drugstore. We can look up his address.
Luckily, we found that the fair city of Chapel Hill had only one photographer, the little man who had snapped our picture that morning. His name was William Avery, and we jotted down his address. 10 minutes later, we were waiting outside his studio.
Can you see him through that window, Rick?
Yeah, he's putting on his hat. Move back into that doorway. He's coming out. Come on.
Let him get farther ahead. That's good. Let's go. Uh-oh, Rick. He's stopping.
Yeah. Hey, there he goes into that restaurant. Come on, let's go across the street.
Still think we ought to question him?
No, wait. If he thinks no one suspects him, he may let his guard down. Let's just wait here. We can watch him through the window.
The waitress is taking his order.
Good. Well, I'm going to take a chance. If he's ordering dinner, he'll be in there for a little while. I'm going back to his studio and look around.
Hey, now, Rick, you can't just break in there. You have no jurisdiction down here.
And someone had no jurisdiction to kill Isabel Kroner. I'm sorry, Walt. There might be something in that studio to pin this on Avery.
Okay, you win. But I'll go back and look around. I was breaking in houses while you were still breaking in rattles.
Okay, Grandpa. Don't let anyone hear your bones creak. You find anything in the studio, Walt?
And how? Our friend Avery has a broken camera. It's been smashed.
Oh. Hey, hold it. Here he comes out of the restaurant. Oh, looks like he's heading for his studio. You say his camera was smashed?
Yeah, I found it in the closet. Didn't the coroner say Isabel had been killed with a heavy instrument?
That's right. You know, Walt, this May 5th, after Avery took the picture, you recognized Isabel. And still with his camera, you went to see her. They fought, and he bashed her with it.
I'll buy that.
Well, maybe we're just grabbing at straws. We still need something concrete to tie Avery in with that murder. Hey, wait a minute.
Huh?
Look up ahead there. He's got an apple. Look at the way he's eating it.
Well, what about it?
Well, he's only biting it on the right side of his mouth.
So what?
I have a hunch, that's all.
Well, if it's about that apple, forget it. He just threw it away.
Yeah?
Well, what's all this about, anyway?
Let him go on, Walt. We'll know where to find him. And besides, I want this apple.
Holy cow, what are you doing in the gutter? If you're that hungry, I'll buy you a whole apple.
No, thanks. Come here, Walt. Look at this apple.
Hmm?
The teeth marks show it's only been chewed on one side of the mouth. Now, maybe that's just habit. I don't know. Or maybe Avery has bad teeth.
So no matter what it is, how does it help us?
I think it may help a lot. Let's get back to the sheriff.
Well, it's about time you fellas got here. Thought you were coming over right after dinner.
We're sorry, Sheriff, but we followed a hunch. You know a photographer here in town named Avery?
Bill Avery? Why, sure. He's the best photographer in town. Came down about a year ago. Why?
We think he killed Isabel Croner.
Well, now, what makes you think a thing like that?
Well, so far it's nothing concrete, but Isabel seemed to recognize him today.
Yeah, so we followed him. And later I found a broken camera in his studio. We think it's the death weapon.
Well, now, a broken camera is hardly enough to convict a man.
Oh, we know that, Sheriff, but there's something else. You remember that vial of silver nitrate we found by Isabel's body?
Sure. What about it?
Well, some dentist prescribed silver nitrate for use on the gums in case of infected teeth. Now, look at this apple Avery was chewing. The teeth marks show it's been eaten only with the right half of the jaw.
So?
So that could indicate Avery has had bad teeth and may have been using silver nitrate on his gums.
Now, that's downright clever. Of course, it still don't prove nothing.
Well, it might, though. Send this apple on to the lab. If they find traces of silver nitrate on it, it will at least indicate Avery was in Isabel's room.
Yeah, and I've been thinking. It might just be a wild guess, but if the girl recognized Avery, he probably recognized her. He might be a big European criminal. He was afraid she'd turn him in, so he killed her.
Now, you may have something there, Walt. A transatlantic call to the Swiss Detective Bureau might clear up his real identity.
Now, boys, before you go running up my phone bill, let's just take it nice and easy like. This broken camera, silver nitrate apple, and motive. It's all mighty interesting. But I don't think we'd better waste time sending this apple to the lab. Doubt if they'd find anything on it.
Well, you'll at least check it, won't you?
No. Like I say, all these things are real interesting. But there's just one thing stands in the way of me trying to arrest Avery.
What are you getting at, Sheriff?
Well, while you boys were out playing cops and robbers, I caught the murderer.
What?
Yep, nothing fancy. Just thorough, routine investigation. I sent a man to check the hotel manager. He hadn't seen anyone, but he said the maid was due to clean that room about the time of the murder. We questioned her. She got nervous and broke down. Confessed she killed Croner.
But why?
Lieutenant, what's the reason for most of the killings in your state every year? What's the motive?
Well, robbery's mostly the motive.
That's right. And it's the same down here. The maid told us she was going through Croner's purse when Croner came in and caught her. She got frightened, picked up a vacuum sweeper attachment, and hit her with it. You know how berserk a petty thief can get when they're afraid they'll be caught.
Yeah, but the silver nitrate in the apple.
Well, the apple's coincidence. The silver nitrate belonged to Croner. She, too, had bad teeth.
Well, I'll be...
Move over, Walt. That makes two of us.
Yes, sir. When I heard all you fellas were having a big convention down here, I said to my deputy, Peter said, we're going to see ourselves some fancy investigating if anything should happen while those fellas are here. Only I'm sure sorry you went to all that trouble for nothing.
Rick, don't speak to me. I'm still brooding.
Well, at least we got through the speeches.
Yep.
Would have been a swell trip if it wasn't for that hunch of yours.
Oh, now that's it. Blame it all on me.
Apples and silver nitrate.
And what about you? Broken camera, and that motive. Big European criminal.
All right. Sort of funny, though. That poor little photographer.
Yeah. We were all set to send him to the chair. Walt.
Huh?
Maybe we shouldn't say anything about this when we get back.
I was thinking the same thing. If Otis ever hears about it, we'll be disgraced for life.
Yeah. Let's just forget it and look at the more pleasant things in life.
Yeah. Like that little redhead up front?
Mm-hmm. I was just kind of, Uh-oh. I have a feeling we've been through all this before.
You're right.
Well, shall we have a game of cards, Walt?
Richard Diamond, Private Detective, stars Dick Powell in the title role. It was written by Blake Edwards with music composed and conducted by Frank Wirth. This is Bill Foreman speaking. Richard Diamond, Private Detective is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
This, I believe. Frank L. Weil has a long and distinguished record of leadership in the Boy Scouts, the National Jewish Welfare Board, the National Social Welfare Assembly, the USO, and many other organizations whose function it is to serve the community. His career demonstrates that loving one's neighbor can be a successful way of life. This is Frank Weil's creed.
As a young man, when I first started to work, my thoughts were entirely in the future. Each day I thought only of tomorrow, so much so that finally I seemed to lose all contact with today. Time sped by with incredible speed and utterly without satisfaction. I was, it seemed, engaged in a headlong race to reach what I never could attain. Tomorrow was always ahead of me. Finally, my feelings of frustration were so great, I took inventory of myself. I found myself taking no satisfaction from the present because I was not living in it. I deliberately set a new objective for myself, to live as completely as possible each day for the sake of that day, confident that the discharge of that day's duties and responsibilities would assure me tomorrow's rights and privileges. As always happens, the pendulum swung too far. There were all too frequently many discouragements in the day's happenings, and the future began to seem distant and doubtful. I was doing my tasks each day, but I needed assurance that tomorrow had hope. Then the significance of faith entered the picture. Faith that no matter how discouraging today might be, nevertheless there would be a tomorrow, and that eventually, maybe imperceptibly, that tomorrow would find life somewhat better, somewhat sweeter. As I grew older, I worked more and more with large groups of people in the field of social welfare. There, as well as in observing the conduct of people in community life, I received convincing proof of the importance of faith in people generally. Given the opportunity to learn the facts, to talk with their neighbors, to keep the doors of discussion open, I have the profoundest faith in the essential wisdom and integrity of people. It is this faith in people which gives me such great confidence in the future of the United Nations. Mankind has been beset by wars and the fear of wars since prehistoric times. Now mankind has grown closer together. The United Nations affords the opportunity to present the facts, to talk things over, to keep doors open. It is the best hope yet of man for a peaceful world. All too often the future is clouded with discouragement. All too often the outlook is dark and foreboding. I believe that doing today's job, with faith in the future and faith in the people, all will come out well. Sometimes, when progress is hard to see, I like to think of Galileo, the 17th century astronomer. He is said to have muttered as he rose from his knees, where he had been compelled to recant his theory of the movement of the earth, and that it is not the center of the universe as was then believed, and yet it moves. So, too, I feel that while all too often it may be difficult to see where we are heading and what progress we are making, three beliefs which I hold sustain me: that I earn tomorrow's rights and privileges by the manner in which I discharge today's duties and responsibilities, that the greatest sustaining force in facing today's trials is faith in the future, and that faith in the future includes a deep and abiding faith in the essential wisdom and integrity of people generally. With these three basic beliefs, I can constantly reassure myself, and yet it moves.
They're the beliefs of Frank L. Weil of New York, an outstanding citizen and devoted public servant.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A district attorney knows that crime does not always end when the criminal is put behind bars. Some men reform, but others begin immediately to plot their next crime. This case started in the state penitentiary just after the weekly visiting hour.
Well, Abbott, your wife bring what I told you to get for me?
Yeah, she brought it, Johnny. Here. Vitamin tablets and the razor blades. You know, we're not supposed to have razor blades.
Yeah. If they find them on me, they might put me in jail. What are you so jumpy about with your lousy year? Another 5 months and you'll be out. I'm doing life and my nerves are still better than yours.
Look, Johnny, with good behavior credits, I can get out in 3 months. I don't want to get in no trouble. Lay off, will you?
Are you telling me what I should do, you cheap oyster? I'm going to let you and your wife do me another favor. A big favor.
Look, I got to be careful what I ask her. I can't upset her now. You know that.
Oh, that's right. A baby is too soon, ain't it, Papa? Wouldn't want the kid to start out without an old man, would you?
What are you talking like that for, Johnny?
I wanted to see if your wife could get those razor blades in. She did. Next time, she can bring in what I really want.
What?
A gun.
No. Johnny, she can't.
You think I'm going to end my life in here? Then think again. If I die in here, you die in here, too. I can take one of these razor blades to your throat right now.
No, Johnny,
Boy, get down.
All right, Johnny, all right. I'll do it. I'll tell her to get it for you.
Don't kid me. I can hear the wheels turning in that square head of yours. Next time the screw takes you out of here, you'll spill your guts.
I won't, Johnny, I swear.
I know you won't, and I'll tell you why. Because if you rat on me, somebody will slip a shiv into you, in jail or out. Remember that. Remember it if you ever want to see the kid.
You don't realize what you're asking me to do.
I ain't asking. I'm telling. And if you decide to get brave with your own neck, remember, I can have your wife taken care of, too.
You wouldn't do that.
Wouldn't I? Try me and see. There's the squirrel making his count now. Stop him when he comes past. Tell him he'll get you out of here and take you to the warden. You can spill your guts and they'll put you in a nice, safe cell away from me. And you can wait for that shiv. You'll never know when or where from. All right, here he comes. Here's your big chance. That's a bright boy, Abbott. Now you're using your head.
Cell, Chief.
Oh, it's easy to see, Harrington. The tongue of the lock has been cut by a hacksaw blade.
Yeah. They must have waited in the passage until the jailer turned the corner here, then shot him through the stomach and took the keys.
Any idea where they got the gun?
I guess Abbott's wife must have brought it in during a visit.
Well, how did she get a gun through the visiting screen?
They didn't use the regular visiting room. Warden let them meet in the privilege room.
Why?
Well, because Abbott was a first offender with only a few months to go, and his wife was expecting a baby.
I see. You put out a pickup for him?
Mm-hmm. We've already got it.
Where?
Guard's office at the end of the tier. You want to see it?
Yes.
Abbott chewed off a big piece when they gunned the jailer. From a larceny rap to jailbreak and murder.
I don't know, Harrington. A lifer like Johnny Curtin had a reason for crashing out. The first term like Abbott was only a few months to go. He doesn't figure to make a break.
Just the same, Abbott's gone, too.
Well, we may find out why when we see his wife. Sometimes a man goes places he doesn't want to go. With a gun in his back.
She's in here.
Mrs. Abbott?
Yes?
Do you want to help your husband?
Yes.
And the best way is to help us. He can't get away, and the quicker we get to him, the better it will be for all concerned. Did you supply him with a gun?
It wasn't for him. It was for that other man they put him in the cell with. Johnny Curtin. Why did my husband go with him?
I'm afraid this isn't going to be any comfort to you, Mrs. Abbott. But I don't think your husband went willingly. I'm afraid he went at the point of that gun you brought in.
I'm beginning to agree with that idea, Chief.
You brought other things for Johnny Curtin. What sort of things?
Vitamin pills mostly. Every week.
Vitamin pills?
Curtin was some kind of a health bug, Chief. He was always after the prison doctor for vitamin shots. Even wrote a letter to the governor demanding the state keep them supplied.
I see. Excuse us for a moment, Mrs. Abbott. I'd like to have a word with you outside, Harrington. You assign anybody to watch your home in case Abbott and Curtin show up there?
Yeah. Moran and Phelps have it covered.
Good. When we get to our car, we can put out a radio call to all units. I want a careful check on every robbery report involving a food store and an itemized account of everything taken.
Why an itemized account? They'll probably take anything they can lay their hands on.
Maybe, but Johnny Curtin may make a special effort to get his hands on some vitamin pills.
Hey, that's right. What about Mrs. Abbott? Just leave her here?
Oh, for now. There's nothing else we can do. Now, let's get to the car.
Sky's beginning to turn gray.
Yeah, sun will be coming up in a half hour.
I can't figure why you want to concentrate on these back roads, Chief. We haven't spotted a living soul in an hour.
No, not even a state police car.
Well, they're concentrating on main highways leading toward the border.
Yes, and these farm roads occasionally intersect the main highways, Harrington. Johnny Curtin's no fool. He's not going to strike from a main highway while he's on foot and wearing prison clothes.
And another farm gate up ahead. Want to stop?
Yes.
I'm surprised we haven't got the farmers after us, the way we've been routing them out of bed. Gate's locked.
We'll park here. We can slip through the fence and walk up to the house.
Seems to be some sort of a light in the barn.
Yeah. Probably up already for early morning chores.
Here. Here's a loose strand.
Go ahead. Slide through. I got it.
Dogs.
They sound like they're tied to that tree in front of the house. No, they won't bother us.
Good. I don't like being donkey.
Now, that sounded like a shotgun.
It was. I heard the pellets whiz right over our heads. Come from the loft of the barn. If I can get a beat on it.
Just lay flat out there and you won't get hurt.
You'll be the one to get hurt if you fire once more.
You just lay there till daylight or the next one won't be over your head. Police can take care of you as soon as I can get you to them.
What kind of a line are you...
Just a minute, Harrington. He sounds like a farmer.
Cutting loose with a shotgun?
Curtin doesn't have a shotgun. He has a revolver. Are you the owner of this place?
You'll find out who I am as soon as I can see who you are.
I'm the district attorney of this county. My car's down by your gate. I have an assistant with me. We're after two men who escaped from the state penitentiary a few hours ago. Can you see us now?
Yeah, I see you. Walk toward the barn. I'll come down from the loft.
Come on, Harry.
This lad is going to get a piece of my mind, opening up like that with a shotgun.
Now, let's find out why he did it in the first place.
Yeah, there he is now, coming out of the barn.
I wouldn't have fired if I'd known who you was.
You sure didn't waste any time trying to find out, did you?
Now, look, mister, I don't like being shot at any better than you do. And I was shot at not 20 minutes ago by a couple of prowlers.
That's what I was expecting, Harrington.
Did you see what the men looked like?
Just their shadows. The dogs woke me up. Knew something was wrong as soon as they come out of the house. Jeans and shirts missing from the back clothesline. And I spotted them over toward the hen house and heard a couple of my hens a-fluttering. Called to them, and one of them fired a shot at me, so I ducked into the barn.
They got the clothes to take a chance on the highway now. Oh. What's the nearest main road?
Road your car's on cuts into State 12 about half a mile ahead.
We better get to that highway fast, Harrington. They've got clothes now. And they'll try for a car.
Hitchhike?
Yes. A hitchhike with a gun. And heaven help any motorist foolish enough to stop for them. Come on.
Here's the highway intersection. Well, nothing in sight. Which way do we try?
Left is the general direction of the city. Maybe they...
What's the matter? What are you looking at?
Brush on the far side of the state road there. Thought I saw a little smoke.
Yeah, I see it, too.
I better have a look. Right in between those two trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little campfire dying out. Oh, there. Chief. Tire tracks. A few sets of footprints, too. Hey, look. Prints go off into the brush and come back again. And what are those spots there?
Bloodstains.
The driver who stopped for them?
We'd better go in there and look around.
Yeah. There he is, Chief. It must have been them, all right.
No doubt about that, Harrington. Look at the way he was killed. Johnny Curtin's trademark. Shot through the stomach. This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the Hungry Killer, here is an important message from our sponsor.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A jail guard and an unsuspecting motorist had been viciously murdered by an escaped convict, holding an unwilling cellmate as hostage. I ordered roadblocks thrown up over every possible escape route, and Harrington and I drove back to my office in town to supervise all phases of the manhunt. By the time we got there, Miss Miller and my staff had assembled every bit of available information on the previous life, habits, and association of Johnny Curtin.
Here are the makes on Curtin, Mr. Garrett.
Oh, thank you, Miss Miller. What do we show on known associates?
Blank on our records, I'm afraid.
He was a sort of lone wolf type, Chief.
There's something in his record from the state of Illinois, though. He did time in Joliet for armed robbery before he moved here. During the time he lived in Illinois, he associated with a woman named Marcella Roberts. She ran a beauty parlor in Springfield.
Any line on her present whereabouts?
No. Teletype from the Springfield police says she sold her shop there 3 months ago, moved, no forwarding address.
Now, I want to find out where she moved.
That isn't going to be easy.
Yeah, it will be if she went into business again. Well, here's what you do, Miss Miller. Check all cosmetic distributors and supply houses where Marcella Roberts had established credit.
I'll take it, Chief.
If she's back in business, her new suppliers will be checking the old ones for credit references. Find out who the new suppliers are, and they'll be able to tell us where to locate Marcella Roberts.
I'll get right on it.
Got as soon as we can get there. Oh, that was Charlie Benton, Chief. Dispatched with the sheriff's office. Robbery report on a food store.
Where?
Just outside of Eaton. We going out there?
As fast as we can get there.
Like I told a fellow from the sheriff's office, I was asleep in this room here, right back of the store, when I heard this noise I told you about. It was still dark just before daybreak.
You see anybody?
No, matter of fact, I didn't. I didn't even put on the store lights.
Why not?
Of course, when I opened the door to the store here, the dang cat popped into my room and started purring and rubbing against my leg, so I just figured she'd knocked something over, so I went back to bed. No, the place had been robbed till I got up at 8 o'clock and found the front door had been pried open. Must have slept through that, though. I sleep sound. I guess I woke up when they knocked that stack of canned goods over.
What stack?
Fruit juice, I got it all stacked again. Third time I've been robbed in 2 years. Why do people want to pick on a small store like this? Think they'd drive into Easton, knock over a supermarket or something.
You've been robbed before, huh?
Yeah, like I said, 3 times.
Yeah, it might not have been the boys we were after, Chief.
No. Better get a fingerprint crew out, though. Make sure.
I'll get them on the car radio.
You got any idea what they took?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much of an inventory system. No ways I could tell for sure. I wouldn't even have known they took anything if it hadn't been for the door and the cash register.
I can understand them lifting the $6 from the register, but why'd they have to steal my pills?
What pills?
Oh, some pills the doctor gave me to take. Kept them right on the shelf under the register. Vitamin pills.
Vitamin pills? Why didn't you mention that to the sheriff's deputy?
Because I only found out they were missing when I went to take one just before you drove up. Well, why? What's so important about the pills?
Just a very slight thing. Something that spells the difference between an ordinary burglar and a vicious murderer. You'll hear from us.
Oh, Chief, I was just coming in after you.
We're not going to need that fingerprint crew after all, Harrington. The grocer just told me the burglar stole a bottle of vitamin pills.
Oh, then we're getting hot.
Why?
When I came out to the radio, headquarters was trying to reach us.
They find the car Curtin and Abbott were using?
No, but they got a line on Curtin's girlfriend, Marcella Roberts. She opened a new beauty shop.
Where?
Just 40 miles east on this highway. Lynbrook.
Well, that's where Curtin was headed for then. Come on.
You figure the woman is helping him hide out?
Curtin didn't head this way without a reason. If she isn't hiding him, she'll know where he's running.
Chief, I don't like it.
Don't be patient, Harrington.
For how long? First, the beauty parlor is closed. Now we wait all day and she doesn't come home.
The sign said the beauty parlor is closed every Monday. That's not uncommon.
Why isn't she here then? For all we know, she's taking Curtin someplace where we'll never be able to find her.
In which case, we have no choice but to wait and hope we can find a way to make her tell us where that place is.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it's getting dark and all we have... Hey. Here comes a car.
Stay in the shadows on the side of the porch here. Good evening, Miss Roberts.
Who are you?
Well, my name is Garrett. I'm the district attorney. This is my assistant, Mr. Harrington. We thought you might be able to help us. You know a man named Johnny Curtin?
Well, I used to know him a long time ago.
And you haven't seen him lately?
Well, how could I? I heard he was in jail.
Your newsboy must have neglected you this morning. He's out. We're looking for him.
Well, I haven't seen him.
Good. Then you shouldn't mind if we take a look through your apartment.
If you've got any objections, miss, the chief can wait here with you while I go for a warrant.
I only hesitated because the place is a mess inside.
And don't worry. We won't tell the neighbors.
Well, here you are. Couldn't hide a mouse in here.
Check the closets in the bathroom, Harrington. I'll have a look at the kitchen.
Okay, Chief. Here, Chief, that's for sure.
No, not now. But there was somebody here.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, if you were a better housekeeper, you might make a better liar. Take a look in the kitchen, Harrington.
I don't see nothing.
Try looking at the shelves. They're rather dusty. Except for the clean rings left by a bunch of canned goods. And the cans were removed.
Mr. Garrett,
You're concealing and aiding a murderer, if you know where Johnny Curtin is. Miss Roberts, you can serve a lot of time for that. Now, where is he?
I drove him and another fellow upstate. You know, where the old state fish hatcheries used to be.
Was he going to stay there?
Yes. He said he'd stay there for a week. That I should raise some money to get him out of the country and bring it to him next Monday.
Drive us to the spot where you left him. And don't bother about raising the money. He isn't going to be needing it.
I thought I told you to sit down, Abbott.
I can. I'm cold. Why can't we build a fire?
Because I said so, stupid. If I wanted anybody to know I was up here, I'd send out invitations. Now sit down. Sit down before you get knocked down. That's better, Abbott. Live a little while you can. You shouldn't mind the cold when you've only got a week.
Stop saying that.
What do you want me to say? I'm going to let you run to the nice little cops and tell them where I'm going? Oh, no, Abbott. When I get on that ship and leave the country, you're going to be lying nice and quiet someplace, saying nothing.
Why? I never crossed you up. When you wanted things, I got them for you.
Because I was right there making sure you did. But once I get my chance to run out for good... What was that?
What?
Saw a flash of light against the trees. Down that way, toward the road.
Maybe it's your girl coming back for something.
Maybe it's the police. Whatever it is, it stopped down there because the lights went off. Come on. Up on your feet and move. Not that way, down toward the road.
But suppose it is the police. Suppose they shoot.
That's what I got you for, Abbott, so stay right in front of me all the way. Now move, or I'll give it to you right here and now.
It must be your girl. She's blowing the horn. Cops wouldn't do that.
All right. Just shut up and keep moving.
I'm glad it's not the cops, Johnny. Honest, I am.
Yeah, but you're dumber than I thought. Maybe she got her hands on the dough I need already. Ever think of that? Because if she did, you just lost a week.
You gotta give me a break, Johnny. You gotta give me a chance.
All right, if she's got the money, I'll give you a chance. I'll count up to 5 while you run before I...
All right, Curtin. You can stop right there, both of you.
It is the cops.
Are you looking around, Curtin? You'd never make it back into the trees.
Don't shoot, please! I didn't want to be with him.
You hear that? He's telling the truth. Little Abbott doesn't want to die. But he's going to die if you make one move to get me. Ain't that right, Abbott? Talk up.
Johnny, my arm!
You'd better let him go and put up your hands, Curtin.
Why don't you shoot? Come on. You'll hit Abbott first, but I don't mind. Would you rather make a deal?
We don't make deals.
You'll make this one, or Abbott's a dead pigeon by the time I count 10.
You mean this? You'll kill me, and I got a wife and a baby coming.
What's your deal?
Just turn around and walk away from your car. And keep on walking until I get it started and get out of here with my friend.
It's all right, Harrington. We have no choice.
That's nice. Just keep moving. All right, Abbott. Now we can go.
No.
Move, you crazy punk.
Why? So you can kill me someplace else? No. You're gonna kill me anyhow, so do it now. I ain't gonna let you hide behind me anymore. Kill me now and let them kill you.
Who are you?
Kill me now!
Move it, Harrigan, quickly.
Let go of me, you're crazy. I'll put a bullet through you, I swear. Go on, go on! My head, my head!
What? Good, she dropped it. Grab him.
All right, Abbott.
Stop!
My head. He bit right through to the bone.
I would kill you! I would kill you, then leave me alone, would you?
It's all right, Abbott. Calm down. State will take care of him. Now march, both of you, down to the car.
Well, I never expected this one to turn out this way, Chief.
And neither did I, Harrington. But a man can only be driven so far. And Curtin drove Abbott to the breaking point. Sometimes in that small second before dying, a man suddenly stops being a coward. Abbott stopped just in time. This is David Bryan again. I hope you've enjoyed this case from the file of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
Now, here is the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
Johnny Curtin, already sentenced to life imprisonment, was tried and convicted on 2 counts of murder in the first degree. He was sentenced to be executed in the manner prescribed by law. Ralph Abbott and his wife Frances Abbott were each sentenced to 2 years for aiding Curtin. But since they had acted under duress, sentences were suspended. Now, this is David Bryan, and based on the facts of crime from the files of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lawrence.